My university, GW and DC, already sent a notice out to the student body that they're worried about increased downtown activity because of this far-right rally upcoming. Wait, what is this rally?
News. Law enforcement now preparing for the possibility of armed protesters at Saturday's far-right rally in support of the January 6th rioters. This just hours after Capitol Police warned of, quote, concerning online chatter about the rally and confirmed temporary fencing will return a day or two beforehand due to concern of violence. Also earlier today, Capitol Police said they arrested a California man in a truck with a bayonet and a machete near DNC headquarters, painted on the truck a swastika and other white supremacist symbols. Donie O'Sullivan is now out front. And Donie, you have been speaking to Trump supporters specifically about this upcoming rally and its significance and who's going to go and what they think about it. What are they telling you?
Yeah, that's right, Erin. There is some confusion. There's a lot of mixed messages about this event on Saturday. I will say some of the major peddlers of QAnon and other conspiracy theories, people who are telling people to go to Washington on January 6th, they are now telling their supporters, many of them Trump supporters, to stay away from Washington on Saturday. They are basically claiming that this is some sort of false flag operation, a way to entrap Trump supporters. So even though that's a conspiracy theory in itself, that might be welcome news to some in the Capitol. But of course, as we know, and what we're hearing from Capitol Police is that there is this concerning chatter online. And even though that there are some major conspiracy theorists telling people not to show up in Washington, that may not, of course, stop some extreme folks from showing up. I want you to take a listen to a couple of Trump supporters I spoke to on Saturday, both of whom did go to Washington on January 6th. They said they didn't go into the Capitol building. They said they're undecided about whether they will go to the event on Saturday, but crucially, they are very supportive of the objectives of the demonstration on Saturday, which is in support of the insurrectionists. Have a listen. You mentioned there's a lot of chats about it.
I was born on the Dublin street where the liars.
Oh, shit! It's top of the fucking hour. Every hour it's time for a 60-second ad break. Yes, I brought it back. Oh, shite. Come out, shiver like a tanz. Come out and fight me like a man. Show you why for you. If you'd like to no longer see the ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $4 because it's 20% off right now. Or with a Twitch Prime. You can also use an ad block or a VPN. But Twitch Prime is free. Here's the fucking ad break now. Wait, what the fuck? Not letting me run it. What the fuck? Why? Never mind, I'm running it now. Yeah, Cara Delevingne's father is seething.
An event happening here in Washington next week on the 18th.
Yes.
This is why Cara Delevingne did not respond. I live in London and I have to turn down the volume when you play this so I don't get on a watch list. Fuck you, man. You're just listening to some good old tunes, alright?
To support, I think, people who were detained, arrested.
Yeah, they're political prisoners, pretty much.
They're stuck in solitary 23 hours a day.
Our own politicians,
They're not given a speedy trial.
As a right-leaning guy, I don't like Trump or Biden. Do you think Tulsi Gabbard would be a better option? Oh my God, I totally forgot. Glenn Greenwald, Lee Fong, and all of these other fucking, totally not fucking just reactionary guys. They're media darling. Tulsi Gabbard. I gotta pause this fucking DC rally to show you. I have to interrupt this broadcast to show you. This is where my girl has been. I was wondering where the fuck she's been, right? Oh, no big deal. Just working with the CIA in doing JSOC operations in Africa as the civilian liaison person. Yeah, dude, just doing anti-imperialism in Africa.
Aloha, everyone. You haven't heard much from me lately. I've been gone for the last 4 months, serving on an active duty tour and deployment to Africa as a civil affairs officer.
Oh, just doing normal fucking aloha, just doing normal anti-imperialist actions.
I was supporting a special forces mission to go after Al-Qaeda affiliated jihadists. Now, every single day, it was truly my honor to work with incredible patriots, experienced, focused warriors with an unwavering commitment to serve our.
Bro, these are girl bosses. They are gatekeeping. They are slay queening. They're doing girl boss shit in the name of Allah, of course. That's right. Nothing says anti-imperialist queen like going to Africa and working for the CIA. Okay? I butchered my own fucking quote, by the way. Aloha! I say, I am a girl boss. Yeah. She's out here fucking slay queening, like literally just doing the utmost anti-imperialist action, dude. Is just fucking working with the State Department.
Our country. We should never forget that, you know, no matter the decisions that the politicians make or the careerists in the Pentagon make.
Yeah, no matter what the decisions they make, dude, you're literally that careerist. You are literally the fucking pro-war careerist that you are talking about right now. Like, that's what the fuck are you doing in Africa, dude?
It is our men and women in uniform who selflessly and quietly defend the safety, security, and freedom of our country every day. Now, I haven't posted much since I was gone because I was asked not to talk about my going overseas until my mission was complete. Al-Qaeda is very active where we were, and as someone who has a high profile, I would have been a prime target for the enemy, putting my life and the lives of my fellow service members and our mission in greater danger. Now I look forward to discussing the foreign and domestic issues and challenges that we're facing in our country.
Yeah, totally, dude. Yo, she is wilding the fuck out, dude. Yo, can we just all admit collectively that every single person that kept saying Tulsi Gabbard is like an anti-imperialist was just horny as fuck? Like, can we just now finally fucking just take a deep breath for a moment and be like, no, you were just horny. Like, sometimes you just have to ask yourself, like, is Tulsi Gabbard truly an anti-imperialist hero? Or am I just really fucking horny? It was just that. You were really fucking horny. Took a drone strike vacation to Africa, dude. Yeah. Fox on her Twitter wanting her to succeed because she's a Hindu. No, it's just like not a single fucking person. Like I told you guys so many times. Remember the fucking Jimmy Dorians that would come into my chat and fucking yell at me? Always like, you don't understand Tulsi Gabbard. Like, why don't you like Tulsi Gabbard? Why don't you like Tulsi Gabbard? Like, I don't understand. Like, what the fuck? She's like an anti-imperialist hero, dude. Like, yeah, dude, I love being the anti-imperialist hero while fucking draping myself with the American flag. Love that, dude. Love that. Oh, also, this is fucking hilarious. A poll worker in West Hollywood this morning, isn't this shit illegal? The answer, smiling Tina, is yes. This is the most illegal. It's called electioneering. As a matter of fact, a person that works at a fucking poll station absolutely can't even fucking wear this kind of gear. They're not even allowed to wear this gear while voting. Like, if you yourself are going in to vote, you cannot be wearing a Where's Hunter Trump 2020 t-shirt, let alone working the poll station. Okay, so it is mega illegal. And of course, Los Angeles County Registrar immediately responded that the election worker was contacted and advised that the attire was inappropriate and unacceptable. Based on his response and reports that other workers had previously counseled him on this, he was released and is no longer working at the vote center. It's fight, brother! They took another patriot down! Patriot down! I tell you what, patriot down, brother. I'm in West Hollywood. I'm surrounded by the homosexual Marxists, and they didn't want an honest man. I love that they told him, and he was like, no, I'm still wearing it. Don't make fun of him as a political prisoner. People who wear Trump 2020 gear got the same energy as the third world countries that get the Super Bowl losers merchandise. Yeah, the difference is like those third world countries are like, you know, repping the fucking Super Bowl loser merchandise because like, you know, it's just like free shit that they got. This guy went and bought it. He bought the fucking Super Bowl loser merchandise on his own. He's desiring to wear that. Dude, I love this. This is so funny. This is actually fucking hilarious. Honestly, though, I would rock the fuck out of... There's a guy at my ballot drop-off location in the Mission sticking his phone in the face of every volunteer, asking them to admit that they're state actors for an illegitimate election. Is he joking? I can't tell because Lee Fong sometimes does like chud stuff. Okay, maybe he's not joking. He took a photo of him. So, yeah, these are the guys Lee literally panders to. Does he not realize that? The guy probably was like, wait, is that you, Lee Fang? I love your work. When you were talking about how we need to give the brave troops in the police force more weapons. I love that. I love you, Lee Fang. Why are you taking a photo of me? So, Lee, this is a brave patriot. Keep making sure that the California elections are not stolen. How dare you? Speaking of fucking, you know, once heroes of mine behaving like absolute chuds, Glenn Greenwald, the pettiest motherfucker on the planet, who yesterday tweeted about me being a part of the Democratic Power Center alongside the DSA. He tweeted about Sam Seder. He says, Sam Seder has been sad-sacking around various online and cable platforms for 15 years, spouting liberal platitudes and serving the Democratic Party while earning his living from Google, and is the first reporting he ever did in his life. A real blockbuster. Congrats, Sam. Apparently, today on Majority Report, we received a phone call from a Connecticut college student who claims he interacted with Michael Tracey and has since tested positive for COVID. He claims he informed Michael. Michael, can you confirm? Oh, Glenn. I love that he also says Sam Seder was earning his living from Google. Okay, you earn your living from Rumble. It's like kind of worse to just get to make your living from Peter Thiel, who's like a literal fucking villain, like an actual villain. That makes even like Susan Wojcicki and everyone else at Google look good in comparison. Sam says, dial it up a notch and maybe I can get a more pleasant girlfriend. Oh, Aaron, why are you like this? Okay, he says, Glenn, be careful. Sam might challenge you to a debate. Everyone's scared of debating Sam, according to Sam. I mean, I'm pretty sure Sam Seder would love to fucking debate Glenn Greenwald. Dude, he's like, how did this happen to Glenn Greenwald? Like, he's just the most petty person on the planet, dude. He turned vegan, I'm telling you. Is it because he's vegan now? Is that what it is? Hold on. Dude. So the reason why this started was because Michael Tracey apparently went to like Connecticut or something. I don't know the exact details, but I saw some video and I didn't want to watch it before I actually fucking I didn't want to watch it unless I watched it with the chat. So is there actually the video? Please, someone link me. The video is so good. Michael Tracey again did something his left liberal critics won't. Got his ass off the couch to do actual reporting on a consequential societal and political conflict. And now they're all holding hands to mock him as the outcast nerd in an attempt to feel tribally protected. What was the fucking brave journalism that he did? Wait, please, someone show me the fucking video. Dude, hold on. We gotta find the video. Journal freaks would never seek context before opining on things, says Michael Tracey. But I'm on the sidewalk because the students urged and guided me there after security ordered me off the main campus. And the guy heckling talked to me for like an hour and we later exchanged phone numbers. Okay. Michael Tracey visits Connecticut College ostensibly to do journalism about their COVID rules, but decides to give a speech to the students while standing in front of a highway holding a briefcase with an antenna on it for some reason.
What I was about to say is the main reason, just to reiterate.
What's the deal with airplane food, guys? Huh?
The main reason I'm here is not because I have any particular interest in what goes on at a small liberal arts college in Connecticut that I've never been to. It's because I've gotten so many, dozens of messages, phone calls, texts from people who have strong criticisms of the policy that you're all now subject to, but say unanimously that they cannot voice them in public because if they do, they will be subject to disciplinary action, they will be subject to social repercussions.
Dude, that's awesome. There is nothing better. Oh, God. Michael Tracey, dude, I love him. Remember when I had him on the show and you guys were mad at me? And I told you guys that, like, I respect him as a poster. It's back. My respect for him as a poster just only grows, okay? There was a while where he wasn't posting well, and he really kicked it up a fucking notch, dude. He is consistently the worst. And it's so entertaining, okay? It's so incredibly entertaining, dude. Come on, dude. He's posting IRL. He got kicked out of the college campus. And he's on the sidewalk still posting.
They will face problems with their athletic programs and on and on and on. So if you're not aware of that sentiment existing on the campus around you, maybe you ought to be a little bit more aware, because I don't think it's good for anyone, whether you support the policies or oppose them, if there's this climate of conformity where if you transgress, then you're subject to, disciplinary action and possibly expulsion.
Why? As a journalist,
because they cannot speak on their own behalf.
But that is not your job as a journalist.
I think. Hold on. I think. Hold on. No. I'll define for myself. Thank you. What my job is.
He looks great. He looks very wet, but that's like a permanent position for him, to be honest. Like, many of you probably don't know this, but I used to work with him. He got hired by TYT, and the first article he wrote was like, anti-Semitism is not that big of a deal. Like, literally. He came out of the gates swinging. He was like, fucking, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. Okay? Which was awesome. He's a poster, dude. He's a fucking poster. TYT, not the best at hiring people. Some of the not best have come out of TYT.
Journalist.
Is this for a Fox News?
I don't think you're.
He wants a Fox News.
He
wants a piece on the New York Post.
He's not gonna get it.
I go on. I was on a left-wing podcast.
He is Tucker Carlson.
I was on a left-wing. I was on a left-wing show.
I'm cool. I'm famous. I was in a podcast.
I do everything you will
to
have.
gather attention from you.
I've talked to you for about an hour. How about that? Are you a right-wing stooge?
No, please.
Yes.
Fucking owned, dude. Hey, I got heckled by you for an hour. Are you a right-wing stooge? Absolutely owned. Dude, You cannot fathom the logical bubbles that are popping up in his brain. His brain is literally developing extra wrinkles as he is destroying everyone in the marketplace of ideas. Okay?
Leave! Leave this campus! Get off! Please! We do not want you. One word, okay. One word on here is... Can I use 3 words?
No.
Okay. 3 too many, but come on. Giving voice to the voiceless. That's 4.
Oh, man, dude. Brave journalist.
Way more than 3, dude. Really? I mean, have you ever stopped to consider if it's a fruitful intellectual environment for so many of your classmates to just be
giving voice to the voiceless? It's not. Okay, whatever. He can't count, but that's fine. I'm not very good at maths either. Okay, let's see what else.
As long as people want to stay out here.
Can I make a point?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I
Okay, sorry, we got a question over here. How do you feel about Joe's statement on this matter? Whose statement? Joe. Who's Joe?
Joe! What? Fucking what? Oh, shit! Oh, shit, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, my God. We got to run that again. We got to run that again. We got to run that again. Oh, my God. We got to run that again, dude. Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
Go ahead.
Can I
okay, sorry, we got a question over here. How do you feel about Joe's statement on this matter? Whose statement? Joe. Who's Joe?
Camel. You died, dude. Fucking rolled, dude. That's it. His career is done. Is that what you think? Are you kidding me? Michael Tracey has a superpower. Okay? He has a superpower. This only makes him more powerful. He will never be owned. Like he gets owned over and over again, and it only makes him more powerful, dude. I swear to God. All those L's, dude, he collects them. He's an L collector. Dude. Let me just show you something. Okay, first of all, I didn't even know this one thing that happened to Michael Tracey that I gotta show you. I think Haram Kart also mentioned that as well. Like, everybody knows the fucking Maxine Waters shit, right? Where is it? Hold on. I gotta find it. Oh, here it is. So, I didn't know about this either, but so Michael Tracey, even before he got owned by Maxine Waters and then claimed that like she had brutally assaulted him when he also was working at the Young Turks. Apparently, when he was like back in the day, even before then, Michael Tracey was crying like a baby while getting arrested for disrupting an Ann Coulter event by begging her for an autograph she didn't want to give. This is the same guy who said the police reform protests last year were too hysterical. Okay, to be fair, like, this is fucked up. It is like the cops are brutalizing him. They are, and that's unacceptable. Okay, that is brutal. Like, they're fucking putting a knee on his head. That's really fucked up. Okay? But it's still kind of funny.
Get off my head! Get off my head! Oh!
Step back, please.
Oh!
Step back, please.
I'm back.
Of course, officer.
Maybe because of the irony of it all. You know what I mean? Especially because like he, the reason why he was arrested is because he was trying to get fucking an Ann Coulter photograph. Now, you guys also probably remember the Maxine Waters controversy. I'll show you that one too. This was when he was at TYT. Did Representative Maxine Waters shove a reporter? You decide. Representative Maxine Waters just shoved me and angrily stormed off as I asked her questions. Not a violent shove, but she initiated physical contact. To be perfectly clear, that was after everybody started dunking on him. And I don't remember where the original tweet is, but he definitely made it seem like it was assault. So let's take a look at what the shove looked like.
Thank you very much.
Congressman, do you have a minute, please,
yes,
for TYT?
I have a minute.
Thank
yes.
you. During a one-week span in March, I looked at your tweets, and around 60% had to do with this Russia issue.
Yes.
Do you think that's a proportionate focus for Democrats? Should it be overwhelmingly on this Russia matter?
Well, no.
Now, to be fair, he's right. Like, his question towards Maxine Waters is right here, okay? I told you guys, yeah, he used to work for TYT. So he's not even wrong. It's just that, like, Michael Tracey, and I used to say this all the time, and it bears repeating, he's always, even if he's right, he's doing it in such a way that it's, like, impossible to be on his side.
No, and this is it. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. And for people who say, you know, don't do this, you just should do that. Let me just say that I consider that protection of our democracy and understanding that Russia is not our friend and that they are undermining our democracy by hacking into our elections and trying to determine, as they have done, who should be president of the United States, and that's very important. At the same time, we fight very hard for health care. We're trying to preserve the ACA while they're trying to undo it with Trump care that's going to throw 34 million people out of health care. And so we know how to do both, and we're doing that.
When you say Russia's not our friend, was Obama mistaken to forge military cooperation with Russia in Syria and to try to get a START treaty?
Look, you and I have a different agenda, young man. I'm out to impeach this president. Get that straight. I'm out to impeach the president. I'm not going to be diverted by people who are Obama haters.
Do you think... Okay, there you go. She pushed me aside, but that's okay. I'm getting in the way of progress. I thought I asked fair questions.
Guys, I'm sorry to show you this, but I didn't realize that this might be a violation of terms of service when I originally played it. But I'm sorry for not giving you a trigger warning for the horrific act of violence that you just saw.
Look, you and I have a different agenda, young man. I'm out to impeach this president. Get that straight. I'm out to impeach the president. I'm not going to be diverted by people who are Obama haters.
Do you think...
Dude, oh my God. You might have missed it. I'm going to show you again. That's a karate chop.
Do you think...
Violent assault on press freedoms. So, Michael Tracey only gets more powerful. Okay? More powerful as he gets owned. Every time he gets owned, his power level increases.
India, and my mother is from Japan.
What?
A little bit about myself. My father is from India, and my mother is from Japan. Yes, my father is from India, my mother is from Japan, so I eat my sushi with curry on it.
They fucking dubbed him with Dan Nainen, dude. What a fucking legend. They brought Dan Nainen back for this. Let's go.
Japan. Yes, my father is from India, my mother is from Japan, so I eat my sushi with curry on it. And I wasn't always a comedian. I actually used to work for Intel in California. I worked in Intel in Silicon Valley. And when I applied for the job at Intel, they said, "You're Indian and Japanese. You don't even have to interview."
Guys, okay, chat's too young to know. Chat only recognizes leftism from like 2 years ago. Back when you guys were like shit posting as fucking, you know, Nazis on the internet or whatever the fuck you were doing. Dan Nainen was popping off on leftist circuits, okay? We used to make fun of this guy whose name is Dan Nainen, okay? Who, for some weird fucking reason, was considered like everyone's favorite fucking clean comedian. And he would do these like weird, he would take photos in like private jets and stuff. I mean, I guess he's still, oh wait, he hasn't, what happened? Did he die? Why did he stop fucking posting? He lied about his age. And basically like, he lied about his age. He would go to like all of these fucking, what do you call it? He would go to like all of these circuits and do, stops posting equals died in HasanAbi's world. I mean, he was a legend, dude. Roll the Nainen tape.
So you're probably wondering, what race is that guy anyway?
That's a good one.
All right, my dad is from India, and my mom is from Japan. I get my sushi from 7-Eleven.
That's a slapper, dude. That's a knee slapper. That's so good.
I'm like Harold and Kumar. I mean, my mom is so Japanese that when I was born, I came out cordless.
This guy, dude,
I'm re-uploading this video after Dan Nainen struck the previous one down. I've removed any and all of the footage that belongs to him, so hopefully now he has no grounds to strike it again. Silly me, I thought there would be more countermeasures for content creators to take when someone abuses the copyright system and falsely takes your video down in order to censor criticism. But
racism is funny when I say it about myself. First and foremost, are you kidding me? Dude, you can absolutely have like legitimately funny race related jokes. The crime there is that that's not funny. That's the problem.
clearly my thinking was naive, and YouTube's copyright system is far more broken than I ever anticipated. I'd like to thank Wang, who helped get the word out about the strike. Dude's awesome and he makes great content, so go sub to him if you haven't already. And I'd also like to thank Joe Robinson and Rob Mayer, who invited me into their show after I received the strike. I uploaded that interview onto my channel, so check it out if you're interested. The previous upload began with clips of Dan Nainen's horrendous comedy, but
Head Barbies. Okay, this is a fake account. Someone made this account just to fucking troll. Why do you love to attack black woman? You didn't address every other celebrity who had vaccine anxiety. Why only Nikki? You are racist. Unicorn face, unicorn face, unicorn face. Keep banning us. Racist pig, anti-black liberal, trying to paint black women as uneducated, making money to act like an ally and then degrade black women. This is awesome. Thank you for For the chatter who went through the effort to create a fake Barb account, I want to thank you. This was wonderful. Please keep it up. Pretty good.
But since those clips were the reason he was able to strike my video, I'll instead start by reading this advertisement for one of his shows. Dan's been doing the same act since he started comedy, and I guess these are meant to be a collection of his best jokes. Okay, so, let me read this thing. My dad is from India.
Okay, I want to watch the actual fucking long one. Do we have like a repost of the long one that got taken down? Isn't this Oki the guy that doesn't like you? Yeah, he said I was a fucking idiot or something because I watched this John McAfee story and he got like... Actually, you know what? I probably shouldn't watch this video. Yeah, fuck him. He said I was brain dead or something. I don't want to give him like more ammunition. He will copy strike you, don't? Who, Dan Nainen? Yeah. Nah, fuck him, dude. I don't give a shit. All right, let's get back to this.
They're not given the rights that we should have.
But, I mean, do you think what happened up there on the 6th of January?
Yeah, he said, I don't have an opinion about HasanAbi until I saw him react to my videos. Now I think he's brain dead. I feel like I constantly see him contradict himself in his takes. I often feel like they require leaps in logic, says Jaker. I love these motherfuckers, dude. I got like 45 seconds into part 1 and noped out. Genuinely forgot how much I hated reaction content. I take it worse, much more stupid. Based off his reaction here, has a really hard time paying attention to things. I think he's a Vosh wannabe. Jake Hanrahan. Oh, this is the fucking Popular Front guy. Wait, I guess he unbanned me or unblocked me. Yeah, he's an absolute moron. His political takes are fucking dumb too. This is the Popular Front guy, isn't it? I wonder why that I always wondered why that fucking dude blocked me. I had no idea who the fuck he was. Focused on war and conflict on the ground in Syria, Iraq, Ukraine, Palestine, all over. Founded Popular Front. I always wondered why the fuck he was Anyway. We are going to watch the LEMMiNO Jack the Ripper thing. Hold on. I wonder why. He has like edgy stuff. The Popular Front dude, like they do like, you know, fucking vapor wave like leftist shit. Thank you, Mog, bitch. He's very pro-Kurd, so let's be honest. He hates you because you're Turkish. Okay, well, fucking Brace likes me, so where the fuck does that put us? Labor wave, yeah. He does like all this like edgy labor wave shit. He's a warmonger, likes to make docs, but really just wants that war reporter rush. He's a phony. I mean, I didn't know who the fuck he was, but I always wondered why he was like, why this dude was like super anti-me. Thanks for keeping me informed. He's one of those dumbass populists who affiliates with the Boogaloo Boys and shit. Ugh. Ugh. If he's an anarchist, that makes sense. I mean, I don't know. Mad at Diyarbakir and taking it out on you. Shut the fuck up, dude. Okay, let's... All right. Got early access to Deathloop, still won't play it anyway. Dude, okay, I gotta fucking eat first, okay? All right. I have been meaning to watch this fucking Joe Rogan get owns for his anti-vaxxer rhetoric video. So let's
the Joe
watch.
Rogan experience.
And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you, because I haven't talked to you since the pandemic started. Last time I talked to you was Screwball, right? Like, how long ago was that?
Oh, yeah. What, 2019?
Yeah, it was right before the shit hit the fan. That was the last time we talked, when we were talking about that documentary. And then when all this happened, and so much of the wackiness and
Streams on a gaming website, doesn't play a game, just sits and reacts. Man, shut the fuck up, dude. I'm gonna play Deathloop later, okay? Suck my dick, chatters. Jesus fucking Christ. You guys are fucking annoying. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
the controversies coming out of Florida. Like, you embrace the chaos of Florida.
Yeah, Florida fuckery is our genre, and it's also our top export, I think, as well. It's really what we provide the rest of.
Is this the guy who made Miami Cocaine Cowboys? By the way, Cocaine Cowboys was a documentary that existed before the Netflix version. I didn't even know you could, like, do that. I didn't know you could just, like, literally have another documentary documenting the exact same thing, but with, like, the same exact name. Like, I was actually surprised. I wonder if it's, like... Yeah, Cocaine Cowboys and Cocaine Cowboys 2, like, I remember watching that documentary when I was in Miami. And the Netflix one is completely different. By the way, the original Cocaine Cowboys from 2006 is fucking sick. Like, it's actually a really good documentary, if I remember correctly. I was in college when I first watched it. In Miami when I first watched it. And it details the story of how Miami became the cocaine capital of the United States in the early 80s. Wait, he made that one too? Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. That actually fucking makes a lot more sense if he was the one who made the old ones as well.
But for
and
you,
COVID,
I mean, look about how much your work is about Florida. The Cocaine Cowboy series, you know, all the stuff on A-Rod, like all the there's so much of your work.
The petrifying I'm a Florida native, you know, and a lifelong Miamian, and I think the petrifying thing that I've learned through the years, and it's not my theory. T.D. Allman called Miami the city of the future, and effectively, the Florida of today is the America of tomorrow, and more importantly, the Miami of today. More specifically, the Miami of today is the America of tomorrow. So if you want to
Which is fucking devastating and terrifying, for the record.
Know what challenges we'll face or calamities will befall us as a nation in the years or even decades to come, you need only look at the canary in the coal mine, which is South.
I love that he's brutal, but it's true. It's literally dog shit, okay? If you want to look at a fucking city that is, first of all, destined for climate collapse, okay? Just unprecedented level of disaster waiting to fucking happen. That's Miami, okay? And they just keep building regardless. And it's probably one of the worst, like, it's probably one of the worst cities I've ever fucking seen with respect to, like, its urban planning. Oh my lord, dude.
Florida.
Do you think that's because of it's very vulnerable to climate change, first of all, right? Like, there's estimates about how long Miami can last.
Yeah. They're not good.
Yeah, they don't
Grim.
They think we got about 2 decades, right? Isn't that the current thought?
I'm a renter. Let me put it to you that way. I've lived there my whole life. I don't own
Really?
any property in Miami.
It's probably a good move.
I'm not bullish.
It
on
does. It seems like it's going to go underwater, right?
Yeah, it'll definitely be underwater. It's just a question of when. It's
Because
just a
it's
question.
all like there, like the ground itself is very porous. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we have reclaimed wetlands. That's Miami Beach. That's where Champlain Towers is. Reclaimed wetlands. What does that mean? It was fucking mangroves.
Swamps.
Yeah, swamp. And
Yeah.
that we reclaimed, which means we filled it in, and there's still porous limestone underneath that. Champlain Towers only had water coming at it from the front, the back, above, and below. But other than that, it was total.
Bro, if there is a God, he certainly hates Florida, okay? Like, there's no two ways about it. No, the endless amount of fucking capitalist, like, dollars you can throw at Florida still can't stop the fact that, like, sinkholes happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so wild that, God was like, fuck this, okay? They were like, God was like, fuck Florida. Stop living there. Fuck you. And they're just like, there's just random holes that open up in the fucking ground.
Totally dry.
This is the tower that collapsed.
Collapsed, yeah. I mean, just
so
battered. We're getting battered there.
They were on that porous limestone?
Yeah.
That was,
yeah, built on reclaimed wetlands. And so I'll tell you right now, as we speak, this is the king tides. You know what the king tides are?
No.
They happen every September, October, and November. Not the entire time, but there's like a week here, a weekend there for those 3 months. It is what we call sunny day flooding. So it has to do with the tides. It has to do with the distance between the sun and the moon and the earth, and it floods in the sunlight. We can get as much as 12 inches above the highest high tide of the year.
So it's not from rain?
It's not. Now, here's the problem. We're still in hurricane season, which means rain exacerbates it. Inclement weather we're totally fucked when it rains on top of the king tides. But this is just like a day, like if you were in a low-lying area or waterfront or oceanfront, bayfront, that's just sunny day. It could be perfectly beautiful, and you could have as much as 12 inches above the highest high tide.
So it's just an unusual level of the ocean.
Yeah, it's just a quirk of the tides. It happens every year, off and on for 3 months. Yeah, that's in the day.
Preaching U.S. politics to a chat full of people from third world countries, more sinkholes in California than Florida. You are retarded. More sinkholes in California, you're fucking stupid. You literally live in LA, you're so brain dead. There's more sinkholes in California than there is in Florida. How fucking stupid are you? Of course, there's no better third world solidarity than fucking some dumbass, reporting in from Indonesia, defending the fucking state of Florida, dude. Good job. There's a T there, right? Of course, he's gonna defend. Listen, dude, yo, I'm not even kidding. Like, if you live in Afghanistan, like, now that the Taliban took over, now that like U.S. intervention has been limited, like, you might stop worrying about what the fuck's going on in Florida, because honestly, situation's not good. According to the USGS, about 20% of U.S. land is susceptible to sinkholes. The most damage from sinkholes tends to occur in Florida, Texas, Alabama, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Pennsylvania. Wait, why did that guy say that, like, California has the most sinkholes, like more sinkholes than Florida? I wonder why he said that. I mean, Florida itself is like one big sinkhole, so that's weird, but unban him? Fuck no. I think he probably thinks sinkholes and earthquakes are the same thing, maybe? Anyway, let's keep going.
They call it sunny day flooding. That's a thing that we have there. I mean, Miami, we make it rain, but we have sunny day flooding is a thing.
And there's nothing they can do like New Orleans, like put up some sort of a wall, a dam.
So the Army Corps of Engineers proposed a kind of futuristic, post-apocalyptic, after the flood, pre-flood, kind of a wall. And Miami said, no gracias, no thank you. We don't want that. We'll fend for ourselves.
Did they say no because it was too expensive, or did they say no because?
No, the Army Corps of Engineers, I think, was good. I think it was going to be federally funded. They just didn't want this unsightly, unseemly kind of a wall in our beautiful town. But what they did want is they wanted a signature bridge. We're building like this $800 million bridge that we don't need. But it's super pretty, as we say in Miami. It's super pretty.
Okay, to be fair though, I feel like Miami does need bridges. I mean, they also need to expand beyond the areas that they've expanded into so far. Miami is a neoliberal wonderland, by the way. I mean, that's what happens when you have like unregulated growth. Just fucking high rises everywhere, dude. Every fucking where. And now, of course, that does make living affordable. So there is that. But they definitely do need more bridges because, oh my God, the fucking traffic, dude. There is literally not a single... I've never seen a goddamn city affordable in Miami. Yeah, you can find affordable real estate in Miami. Like, as in rent. In, like, the Miami-Dade area. For sure. Affordable for you? I mean, in comparison to fucking, like, Los Angeles, yeah. When you were there, maybe? Didn't they just have that condo collapse? Yeah, it did. Miami's gigantic, though. So, like, saying Miami-Dade is, like, a bit of a cop-out. Rent went up 70% over the last year in Miami? Okay, never mind. I take it back.
Pretty.
And somebody probably got a good deal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you better believe the contractors. That's the thing. That's why the Miami of today is the America of tomorrow. It's really the corruption, dysfunction, and nonstop construction. That's really what it is. It's this anything goes, Wild West kind of mentality. Because, you know, I said this before on the show, you know, LA is where you go when you want to be something.
Median home price in Miami is $398,000. In LA, it's $883,000. Yeah, the LA number is correct.
Somebody. New York is where you go when you are somebody, and Miami is where you go when you want to be somebody else.
Yeah.
It's always been a sunny place for shady people. The Florida man phenomenon. It's just like, you know, if you have...
When is he going to start talking shit about the fucking Joe Rogan ivermectin narrative?
It's not what's your name, who's your daddy. Everyone's nouveau riche in Miami. So no one cares where your money came from. As long as the booze is flowing and everybody's dancing, the music's going, nobody gives a shit.
And it's always been that place. It's always been that party place. You were telling me before about how during was it the 70s, the 80s, these recording artists would go down to Miami.
Listen, Miami is just, it's America's Casablanca, you know. And so some of the biggest records of all time. I mean, back when that was a business, like you could sell tens of millions of albums. Everybody went to Miami. Eric Clapton was one of the first. Jimmy Buffett, the Bee Gees, the Eagles, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, the Allman Brothers, Fleetwood Mac, and they were doing all those records that we all still know today from the 70s. They recorded, mixed or mastered, at least in part. Glenn Frey and Don Henley wrote the lyrics to Hotel California in a rented mansion on Miami Beach, where that had been the love nest of Howard Hughes and Ava Gardner. Winston Churchill used it as a winter home, and the Watergate burglars and Howard Hunt used it as well. And then Stephen Stills used it. He was hanging out there with like Shel Silverstein. It was like a weird scene. And then eventually the Eagles came down to do Hotel California and wrote the lyrics. They locked themselves, these two guys, in a fucking room. And the housekeeper left sandwiches and drinks at the door because the door was closed. And they came down in bathrobes one day with legal pads, yellow legal pads, and said, "We have it. We have the lyrics." And so everybody, and it was a community.
Okay, this sucks. I want to hear him fucking own, how will he find the video of him owning fucking Joe Rogan about ivermectin and shit? Like, will we be able to find it or no? You clicked the wrong video? No, I don't think he fucking actually has the video with him. Janet Jackson. Yeah, I don't think he uploaded it, dude. Yeah, I don't think he fucking posted it. Oh, what a coward, dude. Why wouldn't he put that up on YouTube, man? How can we find it? I'm sure there's like a re-upload or something. Joe Rogan destroys
Treatment
vaccine supporter Billy
is
Corbin.
No substitute for the vaccine. It's just not. Okay, people, the vaccine
destroys.
Is helping people. It is helping people to. It's less likely they'll get infected. It's more likely they will survive. That just bears out. I think it's the vaccine hesitation.
Joe Rogan had a pretty heated argument about the COVID-19 vaccine with film director Billy Corbin on the Joe Rogan Experience today.
Wait, what the fuck?
Joe and Billy went back and forth and argued with each other about the COVID-19 vaccine. And Joe Rogan fans are mocking Billy for coming on here and saying that he was reading off a script to support the vaccine. Up next, you guys will see why people are accusing Billy of reading off a script, so here's that.
Florida lets you go out. Florida doesn't want to have you have mandates and the tax situation. Florida came up. You got to admit, Florida became a more attractive place during the pandemic.
August was the deadliest month in Florida in the history of the pandemic.
This past August?
Yeah. 1 in 5 COVID deaths in the United States occurred in Florida. Now it's almost as many as 1 in 4 COVID deaths in the United States are occurring in Florida. We've had 13 Miami-Dade County Public Schools employees die of COVID. That includes teachers, bus drivers, people die of COVID since mid-August.
Jesus.
Last month we had, I think, no less than 20 police officers in the state of Florida die. We had a 10-day period in which we had a police officer a day dying of COVID. If you go to the Officer Down Memorial page, the executive director there, a sergeant from Fairfax, Virginia, says that we, by the end of the pandemic.
So Joe Rogan gets destroyed and a fucking Joe Rogan fan literally re-uploads Joe Rogan getting destroyed, but then speculates lightly about the fact that he might have actually read a script. Ultimately, even if it's a script, who gives a fuck? Like, if it's factually correct information, oh, it's scripted, must be fake. Like, so
it will overtake the terror attacks of September 11th, 2001 as the single deadliest incident in the history of United States law enforcement. I mean, if I told you that there's a killer out there in Florida killing a cop a day, there'd be fucking martial law. There'd be tanks in the streets. There'd be guys in tactical gear and assault rifles, rightfully so. And there is, and it's COVID-19.
Hopefully after seeing that, you guys can see where people are coming from, calling this, reading off of a script. He just randomly brings up the COVID deaths in Florida and starts reciting facts like he was practicing it beforehand. At first, Joe kind of plays into it and just, keeps asking questions, but eventually Joe starts to realize that he is just trying to push an agenda on his podcast.
Oh my God, dude. The most normal Joe Rogan fan in the fucking... This is your brain on Roganism, dude, okay? I can't believe a fucking celebrated documentarian would come correct with the factually correct information. Look at him pushing his agenda of disseminating factually correct information. I need to see the actual fucking video, dude. Okay, I need to see Joe Rogan actually fucking talk about... Like, we can't do this. This is so fucking delusional, dude. Holy shit.
Next, Billy starts talking about how no treatment is a substitute for the vaccine and kind of elaborates on that. And Joe seems to actually fight back against this claim.
Come here. Everybody else is on lockdown. Come to Florida. And a lot of people did, and a lot of people died. as a consequence of that. So some businesses did better, and people died. I mean, that's the reality.
I was looking at something today that was showing the deaths in Florida per capita versus the deaths in California per capita when it was age adjusted, and Florida had less deaths.
When it was age adjusted? The fuck? The fuck does that mean? What does that even mean? What? Like what? What? The U.S. COVID death rate by state, not surprising to anyone, starts off with New Jersey, which is one of the most densely populated fucking states on the planet. Many don't know this, but 305 per 100,000 people. Then out of nowhere, you got Mississippi, which has no business being at the top there. Louisiana, again, no business being at the fucking top there. California is where? Where's California on this list? I'm not seeing it. Did I skip it? 170. Where's Florida? 227 deaths from coronavirus per 100,000 people. I need to understand what he means by, like, when it's age adjusted, like, hey, I know that in the Florida there is a significantly higher death per capita than California for COVID, but why don't you I don't know, eliminate old people from the equation, which is, like, you know, Florida's fucking bread and butter. What does age adjusted mean?
When it was age adjusted, when they looked at it in comparative to, like, how old people.
Like, hey, I know that the data shows that I'm wrong, but if I manipulate the data, I'm right. So guess what, libtard? You just got fucking wrecked.
People die normally anyway, and Florida has a much older population.
We do.
It was showing that per capita, more people are dying in a very locked down state like California.
Well, I think that. I don't know that that's entirely age adjusted. It may be.
Yeah, it's age adjusted.
But there's a 27-year-old police officer, a mother of a 2-year-old, 5-month-old.
She died from COVID.
Died from COVID. So, like, and these are
they getting bad treatment?
It's a common thing in survival analysis. I'm a statistician. It takes into account older age groups. I don't agree with Joe's take, bro. I mean, that's a fucking insane way to look at COVID deaths. If you're going to eliminate the people that are fucking dying from COVID from the number of COVID fatalities, especially when there is a pretty large older population in Florida, you're just someone said in the chat, it's like literally fucking gerrymandering COVID numbers, dude.
Treatment?
I think it's several things. Listen, treatment is no substitute for the vaccine. It's just not. Okay? People.
What is this fucking article, dude? The Aliqua Chronicle? Yes, COVID mortality rate is higher in California than Florida. What? Florida deaths per 100,000. It's from April. Yeah, I mean, look at the ad. We fight for you as hard as we fight for ourselves. Childers Law, therapeutic massage, a show not for liberals. Okay, but it doesn't matter. I need to understand what they fucking mean by this. Yeah, I mean, Florida has more old people per capita than fucking California does. What the fuck? What is this showing me? Like, I don't understand why this is even remotely statistically relevant. These numbers can't be correct either, by the way. I don't know what the fuck this is. No, we can't look at just like, I need to look at specific individual. No, I'm not going to read the fucking comments on a dumbass fucking random blog, bro. Like, stop. Because they're so ridiculous. You're like, dude, look at the fucking blog. Look at the fucking blog. Like, look at the comments on the blog. Like, why? Please put yourself in the mindset of someone who found this fucking blog and was like, I'm going to fucking create a profile and write a comment. Do you want to hear from that person? No, that person is a psycho. Okay?
The vaccine is helping people. It is helping people to. It's less likely they'll get infected. It's more likely they will survive. That just bears out. I think it's the vaccine hesitation is what I think it is. I think that that's the major causing the virus. And here's the thing. Once you have the virus, for some people, that's a death sentence. It doesn't matter how you treat it.
Wait a minute. Stop. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true because we don't know what they're doing. When you say it doesn't matter how you treat them, if they treat them with monoclonal antibodies in particular early on in their infection.
Which are available in Florida.
Yeah, they're available everywhere.
Yeah.
It's shown to have an incredible rate. There's a recent study, Fauci actually talked about it. It's 85%.
Yeah, that's what Joe took too, by the way. Not just ivermectin, but hey, whatever, you know, who cares?
It keeps people from being hospitalized.
Absolutely. And I don't begrudge anyone a cocktail or a kitchen sink approach once you get infected. You should try everything that you and your doctor want to do.
You were saying for some people, if they get infected, there's nothing they can do. And I'm saying, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if they're doing that. I think some people don't know what to do.
The reason Brett Weinstein capitalized on anti-vax and natural immunity to get a following so he could sell his book, You're Right. A fantastic book by two amazing, brilliant friends, Hunter-Gatherer's Guide to the 21st Century by Heather Hying and Brett Weinstein, available now. Wow. Wow, new book coming out. Got to get on that fucking ivermectin train, baby.
And they're basically sent home and told to take Tylenol.
As you guys can see, Joe actually started to...
Okay, I can't watch this fucking... This dude is like literally cutting the conversation to add his own goddamn take into it. On age-adjusted survival analysis. Age-adjusted survival occurs with the application of the Framingham study. What? What is this? This is from 1995, dude? An age-adjusted analysis from what? For what? What is this even about? Hold on a second. Yeah, the CIA is knocking on my door. No, I got a package. Florida COVID-19 data shows 2,448 new deaths recorded over the past week. Yeah, and Florida also has been fucking famously explanation of age-adjusted rates. Age-adjusted rates, statistics, teaching tools. Almost all diseases or health outcomes occur at different rates in different age groups. Most chronic diseases. Age confounding occurs when two populations being compared have different age distributions and the risk of disease and outcome varies across the age groups. The process of age adjustment by the direct method changes the amount that each age group contributes to the overall rate in each community. I can't watch this either, by the way, because it's on fucking Spotify. Don't I need to like log in or some shit? Yeah, I need to. I don't have an account. The idea of age adjustment is this average the weight of age in two populations with different age distribution to enable a comparison between populations for comparison's sake. It has no audio but extra commentary.
Yeah, there we go.
Up. You got to admit, Florida became
the terror attacks of September 11th, 2001 as the single deadliest incident in the history of United States law enforcement. I mean, if I told you that there's a killer out there in Florida killing a cop a day, there'd be fucking martial law. There'd be tanks in the streets. There'd be guys in tactical gear.
Okay, let's start from the top.
Time down there. It was a rough few days, but I had a good time.
I feel like everybody has the same Florida story, and it's just that.
Well, Florida is just Florida. You know, I mean, one of the things that Florida has gotten a lot of positive reviews since the pandemic. You know, Florida came up during the pandemic, right? I mean, a lot of people were negative on it. They thought that the restrictions were...
Okay, so we're finding out that Joe Rogan is the one who actually brought up Florida as a positive during the fucking pandemic. So there's that.
Terrible, and you know, he needs to do more, and DeSantis is killing people. But a lot of people are like, you know what, at least I can go to restaurants. Florida lets you go out. Florida doesn't want to have you have mandates, and the tax situation. Florida came up. You got to admit, Florida became a more attractive place during the pandemic.
August was the deadliest month in Florida in the history of the pandemic.
He must be reading. Why is he saying such things? He must be reading. I bet he also knows that the top of the hour ad break is coming too. So the fucking Joe Rogan fan is just like stupid as fuck. Like Joe Rogan brought up Florida being poggers for COVID. Okay, it's top of the hour every hour. It's time for a 6-second ad break. I'm going to run it right now, okay? You no longer want to see the ads. If you want an ad-free broadcasting experience, you already know what it is. You can subscribe for $5. You can subscribe for free. You can use an ad block or a VPN, okay? But Twitch Prime is free if you have an Amazon Prime account that you can connect to your Twitch account. Here's the 1-minute ad break now.
Past August?
Yeah, 1 in 5 COVID deaths in the United States occurred in Florida. Now it's almost as many as 1 in 4 COVID deaths in the United States are occurring in Florida. We've had 13 Miami-Dade County Public Schools employees die of COVID. That includes teachers, bus drivers, people die of COVID since mid-August.
Jesus.
Last month we had, I think, no less than 20 police officers in the state of Florida die. We had a 10-day period in which we had a police officer a day dying of COVID. If you go to the Officer Down Memorial page, the executive director there, a sergeant from Fairfax, Virginia, says that we, by the end of the pandemic, it will overtake the terror attacks of September 11th, 2001 as the single deadliest incident in the history of United States law enforcement. I mean, if I told you that there's a killer out there in Florida killing a cop a day, there'd be fucking martial law. There'd be tanks in the streets. There'd be guys in tactical gear and assault rifles, rightfully so. And there is, and it's COVID-19. And these people are interacting with the public, of course, to boot. And it's a tragedy. It's a human tragedy.
What is the difference between the way Florida is treating it and the way other states are treating it? So Florida is having these, if so many cops in particular dying in Florida. Is that the case everywhere? Is that the case with all first responders, that they're all at risk? Or is Florida uniquely dangerous?
Bro, yeah, I know LA Times has done numerous reports on how fucking Florida and California took vastly different approaches to COVID. But, well, did you know that, you could have just adjusted it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if California had, if you just age adjusted it, dude. So. Why didn't you age adjust it? I think you should have just change the numbers, massage the numbers a little bit, dude. Yeah. Florida's summer surge was one of the nation's deadliest in the season. California's worst surge came in the autumn and winter. Other parts of California did far better than LA County. Florida has some advantages that might explain why it's winters, but this is from fucking March, dude. It might as well be the last year at this point. You know what I mean? This is how it, dude. COVID fucking is a kinetic situation. Okay. Kinetic situation, boys. And what that means is, shit fucking changes so quickly that holy fuck, I hate when you don't understand something and act all smug and all knowing. Says El Professore. What? I don't think that's true. I read different stats, but don't dox them. Not cool. Thanks for the gift. Cash App. Holy fuck, they're so full of shit. It's all to advertise. Get over yourself. I'm so confused. What he's. Do you think that data from March is still appropriate to use at this stage in the pandemic? Like, I don't get it. I mean, maybe you misunderstood what I was saying, but I feel like this article that shows that, you know, California is doing better than Florida with respect to COVID fatalities is still, you know, probably not as relevant to this argument. Sounds like age-adjusted analysis of disease is for assessing the relative threat a disease poses based on age in a population, not for analyzing the weight of those deaths in a per capita argument. California sees progress in coronavirus compared to Florida. Case still a worry. 7-day period. Hospitalization is slow. Coronavirus in California's got, you know, decreasing 31%. I want to see like full ones though. ICUs are still busy. Fatalities are concerned. Vaccinations are hitting a new milestone. But I want to fucking see the comparison, dude. I just want to see like how many old people are fucking dying in California versus Florida. El Professore, Biden didn't win. People just wish that he won. What? Okay, why the fuck am I listening to this chatter?
To fight back against Billy, and you know.
Okay, this fucking sucks.
The short answer is yes. And by the way, what the fuck is happening in Florida is an evergreen question.
Right.
But
that is the question.
Yeah, but
cherry picking to get your desired result. I'm cherry picking to get my desired result. I'm literally looking for legitimate information that might actually show what Joe Rogan was talking about. That's not from some fucking random mom and pop blog, dumbass. All of the information that we've seen thus far, whether it be CDC reporting or every single piece of information, shows that Florida's death rate is significantly higher than California's. Okay, so I'm literally trying to do the work to prove what Joe Rogan is saying. What the fuck are you talking about? If anything, I'm cherry picking Joe Rogan's side of the argument.
The answer, you know, the COVID-19 for the last 2 years is the single largest cause of death for law enforcement officers, more so than all other causes combined.
That's crazy when you think about the amount of violence and the amount of crime that takes place.
Yeah. COVID-19, #1 cop killer for 2 years. Running and counting.
And this
so that's
is
true
just,
everywhere.
Just in everywhere,
no,
or just in Florida?
That's true nationally, but Florida is uniquely because we're open for business. That kind of pro-business, pro-freedom attitude. You know, listen, Florida has no indigenous industry. Okay, we don't produce anything but oranges and machine guns. That's what Florida makes. We sell the sunshine.
Do you guys make machine guns?
Yeah, we have gun manufacturers in Florida.
Oh, it's like
we sell the sunshine. Okay, and that just means we have to. What we sell, we're all just tourism people, right? We knock down the old shit. We build new shit. We build it taller. We build it bigger so we can attract 1,000 newcomers tomorrow. It's a Ponzi scheme. The economy is a Ponzi scheme. It's not self-sufficient. It relies solely on new outside money and investors coming in the next day. So we subsist from hustle to hustle. So our pandemic hustle was, come here. Everybody else is on lockdown. Come to Florida. And a lot of people did, and a lot of people died as a consequence of that. So
it's 2019.
Some businesses did better, and people died. I mean, that's the reality.
I was looking at something today that was showing the deaths in Florida per capita versus the deaths in California per capita when it was age adjusted, and Florida had less deaths when it was age adjusted. When they looked at it in comparative to like how old people die normally anyway. and Florida has a much older population.
We do.
It was showing that per capita, more people are dying in a very locked down state like California.
Well, I think that
this is such a psychotic approach to this conversation. And it's just, I guess, a way to like massage the numbers, unless you personally think that how? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how you can use this as a, this is one of those like counters that's so fucking stupid that I'm literally not understanding what it seeks to do. California has 1.8 times the population of Florida. California only has 1.3 times the amount of cases. California has 0.73 times the amount of deaths per 100K people. Age adjusted doesn't mean anything. I don't know what he's trying to say. Like, I legitimately don't understand what he's trying to say with this argument. Like, unless he thinks that, like, is he looking at the entirety of fucking deaths? Is he just looking at COVID numbers? Like, he can't be just looking at COVID numbers. Like, yeah, let's eradicate Florida's largest, a larger chunk per capita of the Florida population from the fucking fatality numbers, so we can act like it's not that big of a deal on a fucking disease that like rips through the older population regardless. That's nuts. Unless I'm misunderstanding a point that he's making fundamentally. I'm a data analyst. What Joe's saying here is so laughable and not a real defense. You can't age adjust an overall population metric. Like how the fuck would you age adjust by adjusting to the fucking likelihood that someone might die anyway? So obviously, 65 plus doesn't matter, when the bulk of the fucking deaths are from that 65 plus population. Yeah, of course. You can't do that if the fucking main data is literally the point that you're like adjusting and functionally eliminating.
I don't know that that's entirely age adjusted. It may be.
Yeah, it's
accurate,
age adjusted.
But there's a 27-year-old police officer, a mother of a 2-year-old, 5-month-old.
She died from COVID.
Died from COVID. So, like, and these
are they getting bad treatment?
I think I think it's several things. Listen, treatment is no substitute for the vaccine. It's just not. Okay, people. The vaccine is helping people. It is helping people. It's less likely they'll get infected. It's more likely they will survive. That just bears out. I think it's the vaccine hesitation is what I think it is. I think that's the major cause. And it's particularly problematic when you have public-facing people like law enforcement officers who are interacting. Yeah. They could come to your window to write a traffic ticket, and that could be a death sentence.
It's very unusual for a 27-year-old person with good health care, someone who's been taken care of, to die from COVID.
Yes.
It's very, very statistically unusual.
And that is anecdotal. That's one example. So I'm not saying that is the rule.
Did she have
in
pre-existing medical conditions and comorbidities?
I have no idea, but let's be honest. Americans, by and large, are not in as good a shape as you're in. Like, that's just, we're walking, talking comorbidities. That's just.
Luckily, public health measures are not taken by a fucking dumb ape and his point of view on fat people. And instead, public health measures are taken by looking at the fucking population that you seek to protect. So this notion that like, oh, well, fat people fucking die, whatever, is an idiotic fucking approach. It might work when you're hanging out with the homies, but that's not how fucking epidemiology or public health measures are taken. You're not supposed to fucking work with whatever kind of fantasy world that you want the American populace to look like. You're supposed to work with what the American population already looks like. And the American population looks very fat, okay? And has a lot of comorbidities, which is precisely why the extra precautions are absolutely necessary. You can't just be like, duh, don't be fat then. Like, you can't do that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that's what the government does, by the way? Like, it's just, the American government now is just like, oh, duh, you're dying? Don't be fat.
You know, the reality. But, you know, the truth is that there is a safe and effective and, in fact, free way to, because that's the thing, too, is the treatment is not a pre-infection prophylaxis. You know, it's something you do later. You know, it's not something you do to avoid getting the virus. And here's the thing: once you have the virus, for some people that's a death sentence. It doesn't matter how you treat it.
Wait a minute, stop. Yeah. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true because we don't know what they're doing. When you say it doesn't matter how you treat them, if they treat them with monoclonal antibodies in particular early on in their infection,
which are available in Florida.
Yeah, they're available everywhere.
Yeah.
It's shown to have an incredible rate. There's a recent study, Fauci actually talked about it. The 85% it keeps people from being hospitalized.
Absolutely. And I don't begrudge anyone a cocktail or a kitchen sink approach once you get infected. You should try everything that you and your doctor want to do.
You were saying for some people, if they get infected, there's nothing they can do. And I'm saying, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if they're doing that. I think some people don't know what to do. And they're basically sent home and told to take Tylenol. If they have poor health care.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think the real reason why people are dying of COVID is not because they didn't take the fucking vaccine that, like, is successfully fucking mitigating some of the worst symptoms and helping you avoid the hospital, but because of some made-up thing that I speculate is going on inside of hospitals where they just give you a Tylenol and say, bye-bye, take this Tylenol and bye-bye, die. Sources made it up, baby. That's that Sigma grind set.
They're getting bad advice and they're getting bad health care once they're infected.
I think there's a lot of people who don't have access to quality health care. There's a lot of people that don't have access to health care, period. And there's a lot of people.
If you're a cop,
yes.
I mean, that should be paramount. Yes. I mean, if you are interacting with the general public the way police officers are during a pandemic, they should have access to the best health care possible, especially if they're infected. I mean, if you're going to ask these people to protect you, you should absolutely protect them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I said it's a human tragedy. Yeah. What's happening. But I think that it starts with, listen, I'm a documentarian, so I'm a natural-born skeptic, but I'm also pro-fact.
Can you prove that that's not happening? You can't disprove an unknowable thing, you fucking idiot. Can you disprove that you're not a pedophile? No, I guess you're a pedophile then. Fucking owned, okay? Yeah, come on, disprove to me that you're a fucking pedophile. Prove to me you're not a pedophile. Go ahead. Prove to me that you're not a pedophile right now. You can't do it. I guess you're a pedophile. Imagine if we operated that way. Well, conservatives do, but, you know.
Because what we do is cultural anthropologists, which is effectively what documentarians are, is we apply the scientific method, right? We make observations, we ask questions, we develop hypotheses, we collect data, we experiment, we analyze that data, and we draw conclusions with the best information we have at the time. I don't know how all of these police officers were treated. I know they died, and I know that many of them were not. In fact, statistically, most of them were not vaccinated. I don't have access to their private health information. I just know that the treatment is not a replacement for your ability to prophylactically prevent either being infected
or
being
it's a replacement
or
not. We know for sure that being vaccinated can protect you, and it can protect you from hospitalization. Yeah. It can protect you from the odds of you dying once vaccinated are much lower. We know all that. That's a fact. But we also know there are a lot of treatments available that are not being utilized for people once they get infected. Whether for whatever reason they have their vaccine hesitation, for whatever reason they don't want to do it, there's a lot of treatment that's available that's not discussed.
And I think monoclonal antibodies are among the best.
I just did it. I just got through it. When I got through it that quickly, I was like, oh, well, this can clearly be done. I mean, I'm 54. I'm not a spring chicken. And when I beat it that quick, I was like, okay, well, I'm not that unusual. I mean, I work out a lot, I eat really well, and I'm healthy. That helps tremendously, obviously, to have a resilient body. But also, there's treatments available that aren't being utilized or people aren't aware of or they're not getting access to.
Some of those things treat symptoms and some of those things are effective against the virus. That's the other thing as well. So the monoclonal antibodies have emergency use authorization by the FDA. I think that's because they are probably the most effective thing that's available right now. And again, I'm a natural born skeptic. So I look at everything sideways. I've been testing negative for a year and a half. And I have to think in Florida that I came into contact with it or I was sick and didn't know it. I was asymptomatic. I just, so I'm skeptical of these. Although in Florida, we literally have tents at the side of the road, COVID testing. So
really?
Maybe not necessarily the most reliable.
How many places, this is so interesting to me. There's so many places for testing, but so few places for treatment.
The question I always have is like, dude, if there is a treatment, okay, that's wonderful. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But why not use the treatment as a last resort instead of relying on the fucking treatment, even when the treatment is not 100% effective? Like, the treatment doesn't have the same level of efficacy as the vaccine with eliminating your fucking main symptoms. So what I don't understand is, like, why they're like, oh, there's a treatment, so, like, why don't you just fucking treat it after you get it? Like, well, why don't you just take the fucking vaccine then? Like, why don't you? Why don't you just take the vaccine then? Like, who the fuck? This makes no sense, dude. Like, it also doesn't make sense. Here's another reason why this doesn't make sense. Joe Rogan is a big health nut, right? He hates fat people, right? He loves fat shaming. He hates fat people. Okay, well, you could just get a gastric bypass, dude. Why don't you just become obese? Like, why don't you become the most obese since there's a treatment? You know what I mean? Yeah, there's additional complications that come along with that. Why don't you just become obese then? Just eat as much as you can. Literally just fucking, be like me. Binge eat, be an emotional eater. And then become obese. There's a fucking gastric bypass surgery that you can get. That's a good treatment for obesity. That's a fucking insane take. Meanwhile, there's no fucking vaccine to combat obesity. So, even in that situation, it's not like a good comparison. One, because there's no vaccine, and two, because obesity is not contagious or a communicable disease. Sorry. People are going to be like, it's contagious if your parents are obese. Like, shut the fuck up, okay? I know. It is not a communicable disease in the same fucking way that a vaccine is. COVID is.
Wouldn't you think that they would set up places that could provide monoclonal antibodies?
We do in
made them
Florida.
Publicly available, like really obvious.
You have them. The donor has been on a promotional tour because one of his biggest donors, of course, is the guy who, the guy who runs the
they
company.
They do that in Texas as well.
Yeah,
and it's great. And I just wish more people were aware of it.
I wish more people. Listen, right now it is a pandemic, I believe, of the unvaccinated, which means that it's a pandemic of the uninformed and misinformed. And I think that, again, I think that people don't necessarily have access to the same information that you and I have. For example, you and I know that ivermectin there are doses for humans. It's not just a horse paste.
But that's willful misinformation that they're distributing. They're doing that for some strange reason, and I don't know exactly why.
But I don't know that it is. I think.
Why? Because people are taking horse dewormer, Joe. Not everyone has the access to the fucking same kind of doctors that are willing to be like, oh my God, Joe Rogan, here, take some ivermectin. So when their doctors are like not offering them ivermectin as a treatment, they literally go and get it from the feed store, Joe. I wonder what the strange reason why people are saying stop taking horse dewormer. Also, it's still not for COVID. Oh my God.
But what happens is that people don't necessarily know that, so they're going down to their local racetrack or feed store.
Listen,
and
CNN knows that. They know that the man who created it won the Nobel Prize for its use in humans in 2015.
I want to fucking die. Oh God, it's always the same. It's like a fucking dude. They're like kids. They found like one thing that they think is an own, and they just like repeat it over and over again. I never said it. Okay, I never said what you think I said. Just when I said I want to davai.
Know that it's used for yellow fever.
Dude, it's a fucking come on, Nobel Prize, bro. Like, yeah. So did lobotomies. Okay, so did lobotomies.
Dengue fever, it has antiviral properties. They know that. They know that it's used for river blindness. They know that it's been used for over 40 years.
Yeah, but it's not used for COVID. It's not a fucking parasite.
They know that. So when they say horse paste and a horse dewormer, they're not saying it because they want people to not take horse dewormer. They're saying it to ridicule this particular medication.
I think they have an obligation to inform people that aren't.
Bro, if there is no fucking... Dude, why is the media not taking a similar stance to monoclonal antibodies? Why is the media not taking a similar stance to monoclonal antibodies? Why? Why are they not calling it like, you know, fake dead baby cell treatment? Because there is a likelihood that it helps with the fucking treatment of the worst symptoms. Okay? According to people that investigate this matter. Ivermectin, on the other hand, does not. That's it. That's as simple as that. And also, people aren't making bathtub monoclonal antibodies and buying it from the fucking feed store. Fuck.
Aren't informed that are literally going down to feed stores, which by the way,
but that's not what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's not what they're doing. They're talking about people who are taking the human drug and they're pretending they're taking horse dewormer.
Here's the thing.
What? What? Yeah, dude, all of those Facebook groups of people being like, what is the amount of what's the fucking amount of horse dewormer I should take? It tastes like shit, but like, you know, I should put it on my fucking toast. Those people are actually faking it, you know, to own the libs, dude. That's right.
It is not approved, and even the big pharma company Merck made $46 billion last year, who manufactures and ivermectin. Even they say this is not a proven treatment for either to avoid the virus or to treat the virus. Whereas monoclonal antibodies, Regeneron, has emergency use authorization. But the reality is, first and foremost,
you and I are not doctors, so if we're going to get real specific about this and we start...
Oh my God, dude, you've never had a doctorate, yet you still fucking have been talking for such a long time about this as though you have any sort of authority on the matter. But the moment that someone fucking actually... It says continue sub, and you know what? Next month, I'm going to continue my sub with another 6 months. Nice. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind.
Pulling up links.
We're not doctors. Oh, now you recognize it. Got it. Joe Rogan is getting ripped for his always wanted Joe to have Norm on the show one way or another. Fuck, sad times. Well, I guess we'll never see him on the show again, lol. Comment, treatment is no substitute for the vaccine. Yeah, he's not coming back. I don't think Joe's that petty about it, and Billy seems to pull back when he senses a sore subject. Like, why? Why is this a sore subject, dude? You're a fucking idiot, man. Oh my God. He's just like refuses to be like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Maybe I should listen to doctors instead of whatever the fuck goons told me this is good. Joe Rogan destroyed him, though? Yeah, according to this fucking Joe Rogan fan. He sure did. Okay, here, LEMMiNO. New LEMMiNO. Finally, we're fucking watching that, okay? And then after that, I'm going to fucking dive straight head first, okay? A little bit of React stuff. I got to eat. I got to cook. And then after that, we're going to fucking play video games, okay? I will do it. I'm so fucking tired right now. I'm so sick. I'm not sick, but I'm so tired. I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten yet. Oh, thank you, Analingus 9000 for the 10 gifted subs. Fuck me, dude. Skip this video, lolle. I will fight you. Whoever says skip this video, lolle, I will fight you. The amount of people that have been like, dude, you have to fucking watch this video or else I'm gonna lose my mind is so incredibly high. I'm watching this fucking video. Fuck you, dude.
Just let me know.
Lolle my ass, dude. Lolle. Skip this video, lolle. Shut the fuck up, little Krish, about LSF. I swear to God, I will yeet you into fucking space. Do you understand me?
In the late 19th century, the city of London was the largest in the world. A sprawling metropolis and a melting pot for trade, finance, and people. But in the autumn of 1888, an horrific story emerged from the capital's East End. A story so dreadful, it sent shockwaves around the world. One after another, destitute women of the East End fell victim to a vicious killer known as Jack the Ripper. Despite an extensive manhunt and a few close calls, the Ripper was never caught. Instead, the murders came to an abrupt end and left behind one of the greatest mysteries in the annals of crime. In the East End of London, there's a district known as Whitechapel. In the late 19th century, Whitechapel was known for its overcrowded slums, where many of the capital's poor and unemployed had taken refuge. Day and night, an army of policemen would constantly patrol this labyrinthine network of dim-lit streets, courts, and alleys. One such place was a narrow passage known as George Yard. Near the north entrance of this passage was a residential complex known as George Yard Buildings. It was the morning of August the 7th, 1888, when an upstairs tenant named John Reeves headed out for work. Upon reaching the first floor landing, Reeves encountered the body of a woman lying upon her back in a pool of blood. Horrified by the sight, he stumbled down to the street below in search for help. Constable Thomas Barrett was the first officer on the scene. He was soon joined by Dr. Timothy Killeen, who conducted a brief examination. The woman had been stabbed 39 times, primarily in the chest and abdomen. Dr. Killeen estimated that she had been dead for, quote, about 3 hours, thus placing the time of death at approximately 2:30 in the morning. The woman had likely been attacked where she was found, as no blood was found beyond the staircase landing. But this was strange, as none of the tenants in this crowded building had heard a single cry for help or a disturbance of any kind. One exception was Amy Hewitt, a tenant who claimed to have heard a lone cry of murder. But this was early in the evening of August the 6th, and the scream had emanated from outside the complex. Hewitt further explained, "The district round here is rather rough, and cries of murder are a frequent, if not nightly occurrence." The victim was eventually identified as 39-year-old Martha Tabram. Tabram was a mother of two and had separated from her husband many years prior. Her last known address was 19 George Street, a common lodging house less than 300 meters from the site of her death. Tabram had made a living through prostitution, and one of her associates was a woman named Marianne Connolly. Connolly testified that on the evening of August the 6th, she and Tabram had been out drinking with two soldiers. Then, shortly before midnight, the party of four had separated. Connolly took her client into Angel Alley, while Tabram guided hers into neighboring George Yard. It was the last time she saw Tabram alive. Barely 2 hours later, Constable Barrett had spoken to a soldier loitering near the north entrance of George Yard. The soldier had told Barrett that he was, quote, waiting for his mate who had gone away with a girl. Half an hour later, Tabram is presumed to have died. Both Connolly and Barrett were called upon to identify the soldiers, but all those accused could provide an alibi. One had been at home with his wife, another at an army base, and yet another in a completely different part of the city. This was enough for Inspector Edmund Reed, the lead investigator on the case, to abandon this line of inquiry. Connolly and Barrett, having both picked out the wrong men, they could not be trusted again, as their evidence would be worthless. Even if a soldier had been responsible, no one could deduce a motive. The people of Whitechapel might have been accustomed to crime and violence, but the sheer brutality of this attack was as frightening as it was confounding. The crime is one of the most brutal that have occurred for some years. For a poor, defenseless woman to be outraged and stabbed in such a manner is almost beyond belief. These were the concluding remarks delivered at the final inquest held on August the 23rd. Only a week later, things would go from bad to worse. On the morning of August the 31st, a man named Robert Paul left his home on Foster Street and headed for work. After making a right turn into Bucks Row, he spotted a man standing in the road. The man turned around to face him and said, "Come and look over here. There's a woman lying on the pavement." The stranger was named Charles Cross, and he too had been on his way to work when he first caught sight of the woman. The two men now cautiously approached. The woman's hands were cold to the touch, and Cross believed she was dead. Paul, however, thought he could sense faint breathing. But instead of seeking immediate help, Cross and Paul were more concerned about being late for work. As such, they quickly resumed their morning commute, hoping to notify policemen along the way. Fortunately, Constable John Neal was just around the corner. Neal was equipped with a lantern and found the woman lying on her back with a deep cut across the throat. The wound was still bleeding and parts of her body were still warm. He was soon joined by Constable John Thane, who was sent at once to fetch a nearby doctor. Upon his arrival shortly after 4 o'clock, Dr. Reese Llewellyn estimated that, quote, she had not been dead more than half an hour. In other words, Cross and Paul had likely found the woman mere minutes after she was killed. Furthermore, 3 officers had patrolled the vicinity just a few minutes prior. Constable Neal had last inspected Bucks Row at approximately 3:15. So too had Sergeant Henry Kirby, whereas Constable Thane had merely passed the end of the street, none of whom had seen nor heard anything amiss. Upon the body's removal to the mortuary, a shocking discovery was made. Apart from 2 incisions in the throat, the woman had also been, quote, disemboweled. No organs had been removed, but Dr. Llewellyn found, quote, several incisions running across the abdomen. He also believed that the killer possessed, quote, some rough anatomical knowledge, for he seemed to have attacked all the vital parts. The victim was quickly identified. Her name was Mary Ann Nichols, and she had turned 43 just 5 days before the murder. Nichols had at least 6 children, and her last known address was a common lodging house at 56 Flower and Dean Street. On the night of her death, Nichols had been turned away from a lodging house on Thrall Street as she lacked the funds to pay for a bed. Seeking to raise the money through prostitution, Nichols had then ventured down Osborne Street before meeting her friend Ellen Holland. The two of them shared a brief exchange, but Nichols was visibly drunk. When they parted ways around 2:30, Holland saw Nichols staggering eastward along Whitechapel Road. Barely an hour later, she was found dead. Apart from the body itself, the killer had left nothing in their wake. No blood trail, no murder weapon, no witnesses. Inspector Joseph Helson, the lead investigator on the case, stated that, quote, not an atom of evidence can be obtained to connect any person with the crime. While the Nichols case ground to a screeching halt, its similarities with the Martha Tabram case had not gone unnoticed. In both cases, the attack had been needlessly ferocious, and there was no discernible motive. Both victims were prostitutes of roughly the same age and moved in the same circles. The only meaningful difference was their injuries. Tabram had been repeatedly stabbed, whereas Nichols had suffered multiple slash wounds. Differences aside, the prevailing assumption was that the same deranged individual had committed both murders, a conviction that would only grow stronger in the days that followed. As the sun was rising on September the 8th, a man named John Richardson was on his way to work. At 4:45, he made a quick stop at 29 Hanbury Street. He went through the entrance and out the back door by way of a cramped hallway.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous that, like, this isn't, you know, whenever the fuck, like, what is it, like 18th century, 19th century, where these murders are happening to sex workers, and nobody gives a shit about it. Like, the police don't give a shit about it. The people don't give a shit about it. And in 2021, sex workers still get fucking murdered, and unironically, you know, the attitude is not all that different. Even in this day and age. Just something wild to consider that, like, you know, we still absolutely do not give a single fuck about sex workers. Like, we just don't. You know? Literally not true? Yeah, dude, totally. No, as a society, we certainly do care a lot more about sex workers, dude. You're so correct about that. Yeah. So correct. Lolle.
Richardson then sat down on the backyard steps before grabbing a knife to trim a vexing piece of leather from his boot. Once satisfied, he left the building and shut the front door behind him. About an hour later, a third-floor tenant of the same address, John Davis, plodded downstairs and into the hallway. The front door was now wide open, but the one in the back was closed. When Davis went to open it, he found the bloodied remains of a woman lying on her back just below the steps. Inspector Joseph Chandler was the first officer on the scene. After a brief inspection, he sent at once for a medic. Dr. George Phillips arrived at 6:30 and found the woman, quote, terribly mutilated. The throat had been, quote, dissevered deeply, whereas the abdomen had been, quote, entirely laid open. The intestines had been, quote, lifted out of the body and placed by the shoulder of the corpse. The body was then conveyed to the mortuary, while Inspector Chandler and Dr. Phillips conducted a sweep of the backyard. Most of what they found belonged to the tenants of the building, but just below the resting place of the woman's feet, they found a small piece of cloth and 2 combs. The items had likely belonged to the victim, but it seemed to Dr. Phillips that they had been deliberately positioned and arranged by the killer. The post-mortem revealed that 2 brass rings had been forcefully removed from the victim's left hand. These rings were nowhere to be found. Portions of the victim's abdomen had also gone missing, including the womb. Dr. Phillips believed that, quote, the mode in which these portions were extracted showed some anatomical knowledge. This point was greatly expanded upon at a subsequent inquest. The injuries had been made by someone who had considerable anatomical skill and knowledge. There were no meaningless cuts. For instance, no mere slaughterer of animals could have carried out these operations. It must have been someone accustomed to the post-mortem room. The victim was quickly identified as Annie Chapman. Chapman's date of birth is a bit uncertain, but she was roughly 47 at the time of her death. She had at least 7 children, but was tragically only survived by 2. Her last known address was a common lodging house at 35 Dorset Street. On the night of her death, Chapman had been denied accommodations as she lacked the funds to pay for a bed. She was escorted off the premises by the night watchman, who then saw her vanish into a nearby alleyway. What happened to Chapman over the next few hours, nobody knows. Her whereabouts during this time is a complete mystery. But unlike the 2 previous cases, a witness in the Chapman case might have caught a glimpse of the killer. At 5:30 on the morning of September the 8th, a woman named Elizabeth Long spotted a man and a woman conversing outside 29 Hanbury Street. Long was positive that the woman she'd seen was Annie Chapman, but the man had stood with his back towards Long, so she never saw his face. Long did, however, manage to overhear a fragment of their conversation. The man had posed the question, "Will you?" to which the woman responded, "Yes." Now, a lasting point of contention in the Chapman case is the time of death. According to Dr. Phillips, when he arrived at 6:30, Chapman had been dead for, quote, "at least 2 hours." That would place her death at around 4:30. But according to Long, she saw Chapman alive a full hour later. Then there's the testimony of John Richardson. Richardson was the son of one of the tenants in the building. At 4:45, he made a routine checkup on the door to the basement, which had previously suffered a break-in. When he found it secure, he sat down on the backyard steps to trim a piece of leather from his boot. Even though he sat mere centimeters from the murder site, Richardson did not see a body. He was adamant on this point. "I could not have failed to notice the deceased if she had been there." To muddle the timeline even further, there's the testimony of Albert Kadosh. About 20 minutes past 5, Kadosh had gone through the backyard of 27 Hanbury Street when he heard voices coming from nearby. They were barely audible, however, and Kadosh had only made out the word "no." A few minutes later, he heard something falling against the wooden fence dividing the 2 yards. There's no one way to untangle this web of contradictions, but Dr. Phillips did.
The one word that streamers fear the most. If you want to own the streamer, all you need to do is finish your statement with "lolle" in the end. Undefeated.
Can see the possibility that he'd miscalculated. That, quote, "the coldness of the morning and the great loss of blood" had skewed his opinion, which was largely based on the warmth of the body. So, presuming that Dr. Phillips did miscalculate, and the recollections of Long and Cat.
Okay, so Dr. Phillip did it. We got it. All right, mystery solved. It's over.
Off
Pack
by
it
a
up.
few minutes. That would place Chapman's death at around 5:30 in the morning. By this point, the dim light of dawn would have provided the tenants of 29 Hanbury Street an unobstructed view of the murder site, some of whom had even slept with their windows open. In spite of this, the killer managed to evade detection and even made time to arrange the victim's possessions. As the tally of victims gradually mounted, the public grew increasingly anxious. They were not only frightened by the murders, but frustrated with the police and their perceived incompetence. Even across the pond were the efforts of the police fiercely criticized. The London police and detective force is probably the stupidest in the world. What these mocking quotes and illustrations failed to capture were the overwhelming odds stacked in favor of the perpetrator. The police were up against someone who seemingly struck without motive, someone who left no murder weapon and few witnesses. On top of that, the East End was severely overcrowded, while the police were understaffed. As one newspaper put it, "A man in the East End of London is a grain of sand, as invisible and almost as much beyond identification amid the masses." At no point would this become more apparent than during the events of September the 30th. September the 29th, a routine Saturday meeting was held at the Socialist Club on Berners Street. When the meeting came to a close around midnight, all but a few members returned home. Those who remained proceeded to drink and socialize. Half an hour in September the 30th, Joseph Lave stepped outside to get some fresh air. Lave used the side entrance leading into Duttville's yard and lingered for about 10 minutes. Moments after Lave had gone back inside, Morris Eagle accessed the building via the same entrance. He too was a member of the club and had just returned after escorting a woman home. Neither of them noticed anything unusual. 20 minutes later, the sound of a horse and carriage could be heard trotting down Berners Street. The driver was Louis Diemschutz, the steward of the clubhouse. When Diemschutz drove into Duttville's yard, his pony abruptly veered to the left. When he looked down to his right, he thought he could discern something in the darkness. Diemschutz stepped down from his barrow and after lighting a match, could see a woman lying on her side against the wall. Without even knowing if she was, quote, drunk or dead, Diemschutz rushed inside the club to check on his wife. When he found her safe and sound, he alerted the other members, and a small crowd soon gathered outside. They could now see that the woman's throat had been, quote, fearfully cut, and that, quote, a stream of blood was trickling down the yard. Eagle, Diemschutz, and a few others promptly dispersed to find a policeman. While a growing crowd of bystanders waited for authorities to arrive, there was no sign of the perpetrator. But across the city, less than a kilometer to the west, an even more ghoulish discovery was about to be made. At 1:30 of the same morning, Constable Edward Watkins patrolled an open space known as Mitre Square. Watkins' beat would take him through the square about once every 13 minutes, and on this occasion, it was deserted. But in the time it took Watkins to complete another rotation, Mitre Square was turned into a crime scene. I next came in at 1:44. I turned to the right. I saw the body of a woman lying there on her back. I saw her throat was cut and her bowels protruding. The stomach was ripped up. She was lying in a pool of blood. Dr. George Siqueira and Dr. Frederick Brown soon converged upon the scene. They found terrible injuries inflicted upon the woman's face, throat, and abdomen. The intestines had been, quote, drawn out to a large extent and placed over the right shoulder. Among the many lacerations to the face, Dr. Brown noted that, quote, the lobe and auricle of the right ear was cut obliquely through. Based on their expert opinions, coupled with the testimony of Watkins, the woman had died within minutes of her body being found. Back in Berners Street, Dr. Frederick Blackwell and Dr. George Phillips had reached the same conclusion. The woman in Duttville's yard had died within minutes of her body being found. But unlike previous victims, she had only suffered injuries to the throat. There were no abdominal mutilations or anything else by which to connect the attack to the others. But the murder in Duttville's yard and the one in Mitre Square were separated by less than 1 kilometer and some 45 minutes. This allowed for a chilling possibility. It was suspected then, as it continues to be today, that when Diemschutz came clattering through the gateway, he unwittingly interrupted the murder. The killer may even have become trapped inside Duttville's yard because the gate on Berners Street was the only point of entry. Perhaps they saw an opportunity to escape when Diemschutz then rushed inside the club. From there, it would have taken them less than 15 minutes to reach Mitre Square. Plenty of time to hunt for another victim. But it must be emphasized that this is pure speculation. There is no evidence to suggest the two murders were even connected. The woman in Duttville's yard was identified as 44-year-old Elizabeth Stride. Stride was a Swedish immigrant who'd lived in London for over 2 decades. Following the death of her husband, she had made a living through prostitution. Her last known address was a common lodging house at 32 Flower and Dean Street. On the night of her death, Stride had been seen by quite an abundance of witnesses. First, she was seen in the company of a quote, respectably dressed man around 11 o'clock. About a quarter to midnight, Stride was seen talking to a man who was quote, decently dressed and had the appearance of a clerk. Then, only a few minutes before the murder, Stride was seen in the company of a man by Constable William Smith. The man was carrying a small parcel wrapped in newspaper and was of quote, respectable appearance. It's unclear whether these descriptions are of the same person or if Stride accosted multiple clients as the night progressed. There were other witnesses, some less credible than others, but the one that really stood out from the rest was Israel Schwartz. About 1:45, Schwartz had been walking down Burner Street. As he came up on Duttville's yard, he witnessed a man throwing a woman.
Okay, dude. Dude. The thing I don't understand the thing I like legitimately do not understand is like, how the fuck did he know everyone was like 40 or 42 years old or 44 years old? Like virtually all of his victims are like the same age. I feel like that's the most insane part about this. Like,
to the ground in front of the entrance. The woman had, quote, screamed 3 times, but not very loudly. Schwartz would later identify this woman as Elizabeth Stride. Schwartz did not try to intervene, but opted instead to simply cross the street. That's when he spied a second man on the opposite side who was lighting a pipe. The man who attacked the woman then appeared to address the second man by shouting the name Lipsky. The pipe smoker then proceeded to follow Schwartz before eventually breaking away. When taken at face value, this story...
Chatter be like, maybe they lived only till 50 back then. Yeah, maybe because this motherfucker was gutting them, dude. He's like responsible for half the fucking... He's responsible for the decline in the fucking life expectancy of women in London, I feel like.
The story appears to suggest that the killer had an accomplice by the name of Lipsky. This was indeed the interpretation of some government officials. But Inspector Frederick Abeline, one of the lead investigators on the case, had a very different interpretation. You see, the name Lipsky had gained notoriety in 1887 when a Jewish man by the name of Israel Lipsky was convicted of murder. Owing to the publicity...
Yeah, we gotta figure out if they had comorbidities. And like, you know, women were dying a lot back then. Can we just age adjust these women? Actually, if you age adjust like the victims of Jack the Ripper to fucking, you know, New York at the time, like you would find out that like, you know, there were plenty of people dying in New York too. So yeah, I just like, this is completely irrelevant to the conversation, but like also, you know, fucking, yeah, I'm Joe Rogan. Like Jack the Ripper doesn't present a serious threat, I think.
Of that case, the surname Lipsky had become an anti-Semitic slur. Abeline therefore deduced that the...
Death is not funny, bro. I draw the line here. I will be getting my knowledge from Aiden now. Plus, you have finger paint. That's pretty funny.
The man who shouted Lipsky was directing an insult at Schwartz, who was described as having a, quote, strong Jewish appearance. The man with the pipe, meanwhile, may have been an innocent passerby who became frightened along with Schwartz. Whether Abeline's interpretation is correct, it's doubtful we'll ever truly know. Nevertheless, Schwartz's account is compelling, as he conceivably witnessed the moment when Elizabeth Stride was attacked. Back in Mitre Square, a large crowd of spectators had assembled upon the scene, all driven by their morbid curiosity to get a glimpse of the body. The post-mortem revealed that the killer had extracted a few organs, including the womb and left kidney. According to Dr. Brown, this extraction required, quote, a good deal of knowledge, which he likened to that.
Bro, doctors love him, dude. Every doctor's like, bro, this guy's fucking sick. Like every autopsy so far, they're just like, yo, dude, oi, mate. This guy's fucking bloody brilliant, mate. He's fucking bloody brilliant, mate. Can you fancy some ivermectin, yeah? That's what they're saying, like, all the time. This guy, he might be one of us, you know? He's fucking good, yeah? Crazy.
That of a butcher. By contrast, Dr. Cicada did not find any signs of, quote, great anatomical skill.
Dude, I'm telling you, they're like, yo, this guy is so sick at butchering.
The woman in Mitre Square was identified as 46-year-old Catherine Eddowes. Eddowes had at least 5 children, but after escaping her abusive husband, she had become estranged from her family. Her last known address was a common lodging house at 55 Flower and Dean Street.
Oh, he said it wasn't good. I was just jealous.
On the night of her death, Eddowes had been out drinking. She got so drunk that around 8:30, she was found lying on the sidewalk in Aldgate High Street, surrounded by a crowd. The commotion attracted a few officers, who then escorted Eddowes to a nearby police station. There, she remained locked in a cell until 1 o'clock in the morning. After being released from jail, Eddowes was likely spotted in the company of a man in the vicinity of Mitre Square. Only one of the 3 witnesses, Joseph Lavender, had paid close attention to the couple. The man had the appearance of a sailor and wore a, quote, reddish handkerchief round his neck. While Lavender did identify the woman as Catherine Eddowes, he never saw her face. Nevertheless, this sighting was only made some 10 minutes before Eddowes' body was discovered by Constable Watkins. What's so incredibly tragic about the Eddowes case is how narrowly the killer escaped justice. First of all, the only private residence in Mitre Square was occupied by a policeman and his family. They had slept right next to an upper floor window overlooking the murder site. Second of all, a night watchman and retired policeman had been cleaning a warehouse within earshot of the murder site. He would routinely hear the footsteps of patrolling officers, yet heard nothing at the time of the murder. Finally, Constable James Harvey
Who could it have been then?
had glanced into Mitre Square at roughly 20 minutes to 2. That's right in between the sighting by Lavender and the body's discovery. Harvey should have had an unobstructed view of the murder site, yet he failed to notice anything suspicious. Was it too dark? Was the killer standing just a few meters away, cloaked in shadow? Did one or more witnesses get the time wrong?
Classic bobbies!
While the killer did ultimately escape, they did not do so without leaving a trace. Shortly before 3 o'clock, a blood-stained piece of cloth was found near the entrance to a building a few blocks to the northeast. It proved to be a ripped portion of the apron worn by Eddowes. The patch had evidently been torn off and then discarded by the killer upon their escape. Now, on the wall above this patch of apron, someone had written a message. "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing." To this day, both the meaning and the author of this message remain in doubt. Was it written by the killer? Was it an attempt to cast suspicion upon or even away from the Jewish community? Was it completely unrelated to the murder?
So this guy's just straight incel, dude. He's like murdering sex workers. He's anti-Semitic. Like, this guy was doing incel shit before this was popping on 4chan, you know?
Similar questions would soon be raised by a few letters. Letters which had supposedly been written and posted by the killer. Three days before the murder of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, the Central News Agency of London received a letter in the post, the author of which claimed responsibility for the recent murders and to be planning for the, quote, next job. Then, in the aftermath of the 2 killings, the same agency received a blood-smeared postcard. It contained details about the atrocities, which the author described as a, quote, double event. On the off chance that the letters were genuine, the police decided to make them public. The hope was that
That was a terrible idea. Now you're gonna have fucking copycats. And numerous other people that would, like, fuck up the investigation. Can you check your donos in a bit? I always do, and then there's nothing relevant in there. Hey, Hasan, actual 100 Thieves marketing team here. You down to play in our Minecraft event this Saturday? If so, please respond to Austin's DMs hustle. What? I don't know.
someone would
He's a poster. The fucking Jack the Ripper. He's also a poster. He's got it all, dude. The one thing he doesn't have is ad avoidance at the top of the hour. Because at 6, there's a 60-second ad break coming for you. You know what I mean? Because it's top of the hour every hour. Now, of course, you never saw it coming. Just like, you know, Jack the Ripper hiding in the shadows. But there's a thing you can do to avoid those ads, right? And that is, of course, you know, calling a bobby, or the most competent way is with the subscription. You can subscribe for $4, or you can subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime if you have a Twitch Prime, or you can use an ad block or a VPN. But Twitch Prime is free as long as you have an Amazon Prime account that you've stolen from someone. So here's the outbreak now.
Recognize the handwriting. Unfortunately, no one ever did. Instead, it merely served to advertise the name with which the letters had been signed. Opinions on the letters' authenticity were divided back then and continue to be today. Most notably, the Dear Boss letter had promised to, quote, clip the lady's ears off and send them to the police. The police never received such a package, and neither of the two victims had had their ears removed. But you may recall that the right earlobe of Edo's had been, quote, cut obliquely through. Was this a botched attempt by the killer to keep their promise? Or was it merely one of numerous lacerations with no connection to the letter? The content...
Oh man, they're gonna be so embarrassed. Why are people saying 1 of 3, 2 of 3? The ad break is literally over, dude. What the fuck? It just ended. Like, what are you fucking crying about?
Contents of the letters notwithstanding, modern linguistic analysis does suggest that they were penned by the same hand. So, hoaxes or not, the authors were likely one and the same. However, the handwriting bore, quote, no resemblance at all to the message written above the torn patch of apron. Now, the publication of the letters inspired an onslaught of copycats. Agencies all over London were soon inundated with correspondence imitating the other two.
Fucking called it.
But at least one of them might have been genuine, not because of the contents of the letter, but rather the contents of a box with which it was delivered. On October the 16th, a man named George Lusk received a small package in the post. Lusk was the chairman of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, a small group of local tradesmen who sought to identify the killer. The package consisted of a letter and a cardboard box containing half a kidney. The doctors who examined the kidney all agreed that it was human, but whether it was the same left kidney removed from the body of Edos could not be determined. It could, for instance, have been an elaborate hoax by a medical student or someone with access to human organs. The author of the accompanying letter, meanwhile, insisted that the kidney did belong to the victim and that they had fried and eaten the other half. A popular theory at the time, and one that still is today, was that some of the letters had been fabricated by the press. According to Chief Inspector John Littlechild, the letters were, quote, a smart piece of journalistic work. Assistant Commissioner Robert Anderson dismissed the letters as, quote, the creation of an enterprising London journalist. Meanwhile, Chief Constable Melville McNaughton thought he could discern the quote, stained forefinger of the journalist. There are a few candidates for who this journalist might have been.
Let me tell you something. If you're a fucking cop at that time and place, you don't get to shit on the fucking media. Okay? You gotta do your job a little bit better before you can start fucking, pointing fingers at the media, okay? I mean, British media has always been dog shit, right? It's always been dog shit, but goddamn, dude, the British boobies somehow worse, outclassed and outmatched by the media.
But there is no solid evidence against any one of them. Whether it was a hoax by an enterprising journalist or the genuine prose of the Ripper, the letters did nonetheless receive widespread attention. They commanded space in virtually every newspaper and dominated much of the public discourse throughout October, a month which passed without a single atrocity bearing the signature marks of Jack the Ripper. Perhaps it was finally over. It is pretty certain that the master has become frightened and has suspended his horrible work for the present, if not for good. On the morning of November the 9th, a merchant and property owner named John McCarthy was going through his bookkeeping. McCarthy was the landlord of
British media's dog shit, but American media good? Okay. Yeah, you know me, I'm a famous defender of American media. Ain't that right, boys? Mustang Maniac, he arrived at that conclusion.
Miller's Court, and the tenants of room 13 had fallen behind on their rent. McCarthy sent at once for his assistant, Thomas Boyer, to collect the money at 11:15. After knocking twice without response, Boyer went around the corner to peer through a window. But his view was obstructed by a coat or curtain, so Boyer had to reach through a broken window pane to pull it aside. That's when he saw the severely mutilated body of a woman lying upon a bed in the corner of the room. Miller's Court was soon crawling with police, but the door to room 13 was locked and had to be forced open with a pickaxe. What they found inside was truly the stuff of nightmares. The sight we saw, I cannot drive away from my mind. It looked more like the work of a devil than of a man. The whole scene is more than I can describe. I hope I may never see such a sight again. Dr. George Phillips described the body as, quote, cut all to pieces. Dr. Thomas Bond described the woman's face as, quote, hacked beyond recognition. The abdomen had been, quote, emptied of its viscera, while the throat had been, quote, severed all round, down to the bone. The body had been monstrously disfigured, with loose organs dispersed all around it. The room itself was sparsely furnished and offered little in the way of clues. 2 tables, 1 or 2 chairs, and a small cabinet. Amongst the ashes of a fireplace, the police found patches of burned clothing. Had the killer tried to dispose of evidence, or had it merely been used for warmth and light? The victim was identified almost immediately. Her name was Mary Jane Kelly, and she was the tenant of 13 Miller's Court. But nearly everything about Kelly's life is shrouded in mystery. She was presumably of Welsh or Irish descent and in her mid-20s, making her the youngest victim by far. But given that no matching records of a Mary Jane Kelly have been found, it's probable that she was using a fake identity. In any case, Kelly had not been living alone. Up until a few days before the murder, she had cohabited with a man named Joseph Barnett. They had only separated on October the 30th because Barnett disapproved of Kelly's prostitution and the people with whom she associated. But they did see each other again. On the evening of November the 8th, Barnett paid Kelly a visit. Upon his arrival, he found Kelly in the company of a woman who was just about to leave. Unfortunately, there are conflicting accounts about who this woman was, when Barnett arrived, and how long he stayed. If we choose to believe Barnett, he arrived at some point between 7 and 7:15, and left before 9 o'clock. Shortly before midnight, Kelly was spotted in the company of a man by her neighbor, Mary Ann Cox. When Cox passed the couple, they were about to enter Kelly's.
Why did you Google it? You're little fucking babies, dude.
room.
Yeah.
Cox bid.
Yo, who are you texting? Your fucking mom. We are having sexual intercourse. This is, I hate to break it to you this way. I'm fucking your mom and I'm texting her, okay?
Kelly goodnight, but she was, quote, very much intoxicated and barely able to respond. Once they had gone inside, Cox could hear Kelly singing. When Cox then left the court about an hour later, Kelly could still be heard singing. By 2 o'clock, Kelly had apparently ventured back outside, for she was spotted by a man named George Hutchinson. The two of them were supposedly well acquainted, and Kelly had asked if he could spare a few coins. But Hutchinson was broke, and Kelly was desperate for money, so they soon parted ways. Moments later, Hutchinson observed Kelly being accosted by a well-dressed man. The two of them had a seemingly jovial interaction and began walking north. Hutchinson found it suspicious that such a well-dressed man would seek the company of a woman like Kelly. As such, when the couple passed him by, he scrutinized the man's appearance. He was, for instance, carrying a pair of gloves in his right hand and a small parcel in his left. Hutchinson decided to shadow the couple.
Damn, this motherfucker looks ugly as hell, bro.
As they proceeded to Miller's Court. Before they vanished up the court, the man handed Kelly a red handkerchief, and she had supposedly told him, "All right, my dear, come along, you will be comfortable." Hutchinson remained in the vicinity until 3 o'clock, but neither Kelly nor the man reappeared. At roughly the same time, Cox returned home. In stark contrast to the loud singing upon her last departure, Cox was now struck by the complete absence of sound and light from Kelly's room. Finally, at approximately 4 o'clock, a tenant above and a woman across from Kelly's room heard cries of murder. The voice was that of a woman, and it appeared to emanate from nearby. Meanwhile, other denizens of the court heard no screams at all. According to Dr. Bond, Kelly died between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. Dr. Phillips placed the time of death a few hours later. But some witnesses were quite adamant that they had seen or even spoken to Kelly as late as 8 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Keep in mind that her body was discovered at 11:15. These contradictions are difficult to reconcile, and the precise time of death.
Bro, it was fucking hunting season for murderers back in the day. You could just literally get away with murder. Quite literally, you could just like everyone was just like, I don't fucking know. Yeah, I mean, it could be at 9 a.m., it could be at 9 p.m. I don't know. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's terrible. What a crime that just happened here. And they were just, you know, fuck it.
Death eludes us to this day. Mary Jane Kelly is typically regarded as the Ripper's final victim. Along with Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, and Catherine Eddowes, she is part of the canonical 5, the 5 victims most likely to have been slain by the same hand. Martha Tabram might have been a victim of Jack the Ripper, but opinions are divided. The same is true of at least a handful of other cases.
All you had to do to not get away with murder was not be next to the body when the police arrived to get away with murder? Yes. Fuck! We can't find him, sir. Why? Well, he was not near the body when we found the body. All right then. Chip chip. Cheerio. Carry on.
Even the canonical 5 are not without controversy, so the total number of victims is a matter of debate. Presuming that Kelly was indeed the final victim, one has to wonder why. Why did the murders come to such a sudden end? Did the Ripper give in to fears of being caught? Were they imprisoned for a different crime? Perhaps they succumbed to an illness or committed suicide. Could they have migrated to another country? Perhaps they deliberately changed their modus operandi to confuse the police. The possibilities are virtually endless, which means there is no shortage of suspects. Following the murder of Marianne Nichols, a rumor began to circulate that someone called Leather Apron was in the habit of abusing prostitutes. The name quickly made its way into the press, and soon enough it became synonymous with a killer. In fact, Leather Apron was the predominant pseudonym before Jack the Ripper. But the man identified as Leather Apron
was cleared of all suspicion.
Was soon cleared of all suspicion.
Homie, the dude's name is Leather Apron. Arrest him just in case, dude. Back then, I feel like they would just arrest you for being an immigrant. You might as well throw him in the cage, too. Oh, yes. Yes, this suspect is, rapist blood murder. No, it's all right then. Yes, we thought so too. We thought Mr. Blood Murder would be the possible suspect, but we've decided that he's all right. He's quite the bocce ball player. This one, yes, Mr. Rapist Blood Murder. That's right.
His real name was John Picer, and he was in a different part of London on the night when Nichols was attacked. This misguided manhunt is somewhat emblematic of the whole investigation. The police pursued even the most...
Yeah, the investigation is like, all right, sir, what was the guy's name? What is it, like fucking Leather Daddy or whatever? Leather Apron? Did you do this murder? And he's like, no, bruv. No, I fucking didn't, yeah? And then they're like, all right, good. You pass.
Tenuous of leads due to a lack of evidence and mounting pressure from the public. They interviewed thousands, investigated hundreds, and developed numerous theories along the way. In the words of Inspector Frederick Abeline, "Theories. We were lost almost in theories. There were so many of them." In an effort to narrow down the search, the police used a primitive form of criminal profiling. The idea was to analyze the available evidence to try and gauge what sort of person had committed the crimes. This profile was
called racism.
Prepared by Dr. Thomas Bond, and he described the Ripper as a strong, middle-aged man with an inoffensive appearance who dressed respectably. Bond's most controversial assessment was that the killer possessed, quote, "no scientific nor anatomical knowledge." This stood in direct opposition to the opinions of his peers, most of whom ascribed the Ripper with at least a basic understanding of anatomy.
Bro, that's a jealous bitch right there.
Based on the witness accounts, the Ripper was a man of average height with a medium to stout build in his late 20s to mid-30s. He wore dark clothes, including a hat of some sort, and had a mustache. But this sort of aggregation or tabulation of accounts...
Oh my god, he was a fucking manlet, dude. What the fuck? Yo, this dude is literally an incel. Oh, just kidding. This is like way back in the day. I guess that's like average height, right? 5'7" makes you like tall in like 1888.
Can be quite deceptive. Not only are many details inconsistent, but they could be describing entirely different people. For all we know, none of the witnesses ever laid eyes on Jack the Ripper. So much is up for debate that one can build a case against almost any suspect. Some have even entertained the possibility that the Ripper was a woman or possibly a man disguised as a woman. While Jill or Jackie the Ripper is an interesting theory, it has failed to achieve any widespread support. What is rarely in dispute is that the Ripper was either a resident of or otherwise familiar with the East End. After all, he managed to narrowly evade capture.
Yeah, being 6'4" back then, they probably would have fucking, you know, I don't know, sent like 10 5'3" guys to like apprehend me, because it would take more than like a couple, you know, so they could put me in the circus as a freak.
encounter on multiple occasions, which implies intimate knowledge of byways and patrol routes. He likely had some form of employment, as the murders were committed around weekends and public holidays, and he may have had some degree of anatomical knowledge. With this unshakable profile in hand, let's take a closer look at a few suspects. The question is, where do we even begin? According to criminal profiler and FBI Special Agent John Douglas, the Ripper was not only a local, but was likely interviewed by the police. If Douglas is correct, the Ripper might be someone we've already met.
Phone. Urgent message. Please stop association height with being an insult. I'm sure many short kings in the chat are hurt by your words. Even if you are joking. I say this is a 6'1" king. Thanks. Okay. There's a difference between short kings and manlets. Okay? There's heightlets too. Or whatever. Jack the Ripper is a manlet, not a short king. Urgent message! The Council of Talls has decided that you are no longer 6'1". No one over 6 foot ever posts stuff like urgent message in a chat. You have now been relegated to 5'11" status. Dun dun dun. It's over. Pack it up.
Met, either a witness or a person close to one of the victims. What about John Richardson, the witness in the Chapman case who...
Chatter is right. I should have said lole in the end. You're now 5'11", lole.
Sat down on the backyard steps to trim a piece of leather from his boot. Richardson was indeed suspected by the police, but they found, quote, not a shred of evidence against him. His mother also lived on the premises, so he had good reason to be there. What about George Hutchinson, the witness who followed Mary Jane Kelly after she was accosted by a well-dressed client? Hutchinson never clarified his motivation for shadowing the couple. He merely stated that he was surprised to see a man so well-dressed in the company of a woman like Kelly. Was he surprised because he was concerned? Was he jealous? Was it about money? After all, Hutchinson was broke and the client appeared to be wealthy. Perhaps he waited outside the court with the intention of mugging this well-dressed client. There are many question marks surrounding Hutchinson. He has never been positively identified, so next to nothing is known about his life. This makes it very difficult to build a strong case against him. Hutchinson was interrogated by the police, but ultimately...
You know, you might ask, how? That's just how it was back then. He just didn't reveal information about himself. And he did this incredibly powerful move where he was actually from the neighborhood, 3 blocks down. So impossible. There's no intra-agency communication. They're like, oh, bruv, this man is practically invisible, yeah?
Ultimately convinced Inspector Frederick Abeline that he was telling the truth. But not every witness attracted such attention from the police. Take, for instance, Charles Cross, the man who discovered the body of Marianne Nichols.
Okay, that guy did it. I don't care. Look at that fucking face, dude. I mean, actually, that's it's ridiculous for me to say that. I feel like in 1888, everyone looked like this. What's up with these motherfuckers? Why do they all look like their name is Leather Apron? I mean, homie just looks like his name is Leather Apron, okay? Someone said, bro, he's 23.
On the morning of August the 31st, Charles Cross left his home on Doveton Street and headed for work. When he turned into Bucks Row, he happened upon the body of Marianne Nichols. Moments later, he was joined by Robert Paul, and events transpired as previously described. Despite
Yo, how the fuck can't they connect like one of the suspects to every single area, dude? That's what I don't understand. Like, there's gotta be. Well, I guess they didn't really have any fucking. You know, they talked about it as like they defunded the police back then, so that's why they didn't have resources. But it's like, how do you not have like one fucking witness that you can ask? Like, just ask the witnesses, like, have you ever seen this fucking bloke? Yeah, you know what I mean? And then one of them is gonna be like, oh, bruv, yeah, I did. And then boom, that's it. That's your fucking, you whittled away your suspects. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's not that complicated. Unless it's like 6 different killers. But we thought it was the same guy, right?
his proximity to the crime, Cross appears to have escaped suspicion from both the press and the police. He was evidently seen as the innocent passerby that he appeared to be. But in recent years, that perception has been challenged. The argument is that Cross was in the act of committing the murder when he was interrupted by the approaching footsteps of Paul. Cross then concealed the murder weapon and portrayed himself as someone who just found the body.
Oh my god, that's literally the Among Us strat. So he did an Among Us strat. But wouldn't he be like bloody all over? I don't understand.
The injuries inflicted upon Nichols would be consistent with an interruption, as they were less severe than those of later victims. What's interesting about Cross is that he likely testified under a false name. He claimed to be employed as a carman, and his address was given as 22 Doveton Street. But surviving records show that in 1888, this address was occupied by a man named Charles Lechmere. Lechmere was also employed as a carman, and on at least one occasion went by the name Charles Cross, as it was the surname of his stepfather.
Well, this fucking idiot, dude. He gave a fake name or his stepfather's name, but then gave the real address. What a dumbass. Oh my god, how did this guy literally murder so many women, dude? Oh, Jesus Christ. It was so easy to be a murderer back then. It's not even funny. It's so stupid. It's literally him. Like, he just... Like, yeah, bro, it's this address. I'm a different guy, though. My name is Charles Cross. Don't look me up, all right? I'm a common. Same fucking profession, same address, fake name that could still be connected back to him. So stupid.
It is now widely believed that Charles Lechmere was the man who appeared at the inquest, and that he assumed the name of his stepfather when he testified. His motivation for doing so has been the source of much speculation. Was he trying to conceal his identity, or was it merely a force of habit?
Hey, why don't you try being an honest police officer? It's harder than you think, and you should absolutely respect him. It says Chudlover999.
After all, contemporary examples of people doing the exact same thing are not difficult to find. The most compelling evidence against Lechmere is that his morning commute between home and work roughly coincides with the time and place of the murders.
Oh, come on!
Except for the murders of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, who were killed on a Sunday, the only day when Lechmere would have been free from work. Not only that, but all the murders were committed around weekends and public holidays. Why would a man who supposedly timed the murders with his morning commute gravitate towards days of rest? In any case, Lechmere's mother lived a few...
I don't know, maybe because he knew the routes? If he's literally a carman? If he's actually a carman?
Few blocks south of Burner Street, the neighborhoods around which is also where Lechmere spent his childhood. As such, it's speculated that Stride and Eddowes were killed after Lechmere paid a late-night visit to his mother. While he claimed to be employed at a delivery firm known as Pickford's, there are no surviving records of his employment.
To be fair, though, you can't, like... Can they even take time off back then? I feel like they just like chopped your fucking hand off if you were no longer doing your Carmen job. This is like, I mean, they literally were just like, yeah, we're gonna fucking kill you, mate. You're not coming to work, you're fucking dead, yeah.
If he did work for Pickford's, there is a fair chance that he delivered meat and would thus have been exposed to slaughter and blood on a daily basis. Lechmere remained in East London until his death in 1920 at the age of 71. While there is no evidence of Lechmere ever being suspected by the police, it is difficult to believe that he was completely overlooked. Many case files have not survived, so any doubts investigators might have had could have long since disappeared. Now, a witness who definitely attracted attention was Joseph Barnett. Joseph Barnett was the man who lived with Mary Jane Kelly up until a few days before the murder. He and Kelly had supposedly met around April of 1887, and they eventually moved to 13 Miller's Court. Barnett was employed as a fish porter, but for reasons unknown, he lost his job between July and August of 1888. From that point onwards, the couple struggled to pay rent, and Kelly resorted back to prostitution. Now, those who believe that Barnett was the Ripper view his loss of employment as a turning point. The argument is that Barnett was so overcome with guilt and anguish for driving Kelly back to prostitution that he went on a murder spree, murdering one local prostitute after another in a desperate attempt to frighten Kelly off the streets. While most of this is pure speculation, it is—
Wow, dude, foolproof, by the way. Like, have a conversation with your wife. Or it's 1888, for fuck's sake. Just be like, you're not allowed, you're a fucking woman, yeah, you're not allowed to do whoring. And then that's over. It's like conversation done. Instead, this motherfucker was murking the competition, bro. Without realizing. Dude, at that point, I'm gonna be fucking prostituting extra hard. I'm like, boy, bruv, all these fucking ladies are dying. I'm the only one alive with a fanny. I'm just saying, without my commentary, this would be an entirely different work of art, okay?
It's true that Barnett disapproved of Kelly's prostitution. You may recall that Barnett separated from Kelly on October the 30th because he disliked the prostitutes with whom she associated. Kelly never went on the streets when she lived with me. She would never have gone wrong again, and I should never have left if it had not been for the prostitutes stopping by the house. This might further explain why Kelly was the Ripper's final and most viciously mutilated victim, the implication being that Barnett felt rejected by Kelly and wanted revenge for the breakup. According to Barnett, he did pay Kelly a visit on the evening of November the 8th, but they had parted.
Oh my god, okay, I don't know about all the other ones, but this guy for sure murdered his wife. Oh, Jesus Christ. This guy for sure. Okay, Joseph Barnett. Like, how the fuck did these guys get away with it? Oh my god, I'm losing my mind. I mean, they were just chopping. They were just like literally chopping women nonstop. Bro, what the fuck?
Unquote, friendly terms. He then supposedly went home, played a card game until 12:30 before going to bed. Now, Kelly is presumed to have died in the early hours of November the 9th, so Barnett could have returned to Miller's Court sometime after midnight. While the police did subject him to 4 hours of interrogation, Barnett was ultimately released without charge. Then there's the matter of the locked door. When the police arrived at Miller's Court, they had to force the door open with a pickaxe. This raised an important question. How did the killer lock the door behind him? According to Barnett, the key to room 13 had been missing for some time. Because of this, he and Kelly would, quote, open the door by reaching through the broken window. The door was said to be equipped with a, quote, catch lock, and evidently locked itself upon being closed. If that's true, mystery solved. But even if the door was not self-locking, there's still an obvious solution. All the killer would have had to do is observe Kelly using the window trick and then employ that same technique to fasten the door upon leaving. But those who favor Barnett as the Ripper offer yet another solution. The key never went missing. Instead, Barnett is said to have stolen the key and then used it on the night of the murder. These solutions are all equally valid, and it's impossible to know which one is correct. There is a slight variation of this theory which states that Barnett did murder Kelly, but was not the Ripper. Instead, he merely emulated the Ripper to deflect attention away from himself. Once
He's parasocial chatter, dude. Please cut the hair, I'm gonna cry.
again, this is pure speculation, but the murder of Kelly did somewhat differ from the rest in that it was committed indoors. Barnett remained in the East End until his death in 1926 at the age of 68. While it's only natural for suspicion to fall upon witnesses and acquaintances, Victorian detectives did pursue other lines of inquiry. One prominent theory was that the Ripper suffered from insanity, and a prime suspect in that category is Aaron Kosminski. The Whitechapel murders investigation was overseen by numerous high-ranking officers within the Metropolitan Police.
Holy shit, this motherfucker is literally a general, bro. What the fuck is that, dude? That's not an officer, bro. That's the colonel. What do you mean high-ranking officer, dude? This motherfucker's got like the entire Navy on his chest.
One of them was Assistant Commissioner Robert Anderson. Upon his retirement, Anderson repeatedly and unequivocally stated that Jack the Ripper had been identified. There was no doubt whatever as to the identity of the criminal. Without disclosing the name of the suspect, Anderson described him as a, quote, low-class Polish Jew who was, quote, safely caged in an asylum. He'd been identified by a witness who was described as, quote, the only person who ever had a good view of the murder.
Cancel this motherfucker, dude. Look at this guy. That's a double bind. 1, making fun of the Polish, unacceptable. 2, anti-Semitism. That's right, we're coming for you, Sir Robert Anderson.
This unnamed witness had supposedly refused to testify.
Oh my god, he looks like Corbin. Oh my god, he literally looks like... Oh my god, he looks like Jezza. Wow.
Because the suspect was, quote, a fellow Jew. I am almost tempted to disclose the identity of the murderer, but no public benefit would result from such a course. While Anderson never revealed the name of the suspect, his colleagues were a bit more forthcoming. Chief Inspector Donald Swanson revealed that his surname was Kosminski. Yet another high-ranking officer, Melville McNaughton, described Kosminski as a homicidal and misogynistic resident of Whitechapel. Surviving records show that an Aaron Kosminski was admitted to a psychiatric hospital in 1891. Aaron was indeed from Poland, he was Jewish, and had lived in Whitechapel. He suffered from auditory hallucinations and a paranoid fear of being fed by others. He was trained as a barber, but had, quote, not attempted any kind of work for years. It's unclear when his mental health began to decline, but upon being institutionalized, Aaron was deemed to be harmless. He was, quote, quiet and well-behaved, and, quote, apathetic as a rule. Only on rare occasions would he get, quote, excited and violent. However,
Or you know, if they called you a misogynist back then, you must have been pretty bad. Yeah, like, how do you get considered a misogynist in like 1888? Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're just like slapping every woman you see or something? You literally have to be Jack the Ripper? Yeah, like, I feel like misogyny was just like so super commonplace, right?
Before his confinement, Aaron had once threatened his sister with a knife. The case against him largely...
Dude, what do you guys think happens in this chatter's mind? Like, what do you think is going on in this guy's mind? He like created a sock account. He's been following for 6 hours. Okay. And he's just like, we don't know the long-term side effects of the vaccine. Idiotic take. Long-term side effects of the vaccine are not known yet. And now he's like, hey, Himbo, have you heard about Milley's coup against Trump? U.S. top general secretly called China over fears Trump could spark war. Report. Milley, fearful of Trump's rhetoric, called China to promise the U.S. wouldn't strike, book says. Milley secretly secured nuclear codes, called China in the final days of the Trump presidency. Okay, I don't even care. Let's see. I don't even know if it's real or not, but I don't care. Cool, dude. I love him. I love our fucking gay Marxist generals, okay? Yeah, he should give the nuclear codes to China instead, actually.
Largely hinges upon the claims made by Anderson, Swanson, and McNaughton, especially the claim that an unnamed witness identified a suspect named Kosminski. But the descriptions of that suspect are not entirely consistent with Aaron Kosminski. For instance, McNaughton stated that the suspect had been, quote, removed to a lunatic asylum about March 1889. Aaron was first confined in 1891. Swanson wrote that the suspect had been, quote, sent to the asylum and died shortly afterwards. Aaron was still alive at the time and spent nearly 3 decades in psychiatric care. As such,
can you imagine if people had the voice of the internet back when the polio outbreak happened? The same reaction? Human beings are just mind-numbing? Dude, what do you think it was different, dude? There's photos from the fucking Spanish flu. There's literally photos of like cops yelling at fucking anti-maskers. Guys, during the smallpox outbreak, the American government sent police to go into apartment complexes in New York and forcibly inoculate people. They would literally lock them in the fucking chairs and forcibly inoculate them. You understand that, right? Like, now, of course, the irony is now the situation is much worse because our police force is a bunch of fucking psycho chuds. Even then, back then, they were psycho chuds too. But like now they're anti-vaxxer psycho chuds themselves. So they're not taking the fucking vaccine. And you bet your fucking ass they're not going to also, you know, force it upon others. So for those of you who think like, you know, things were, you know, so much better or so much worse, like, no, they were just pretty much even, I would say. Also, just a good time to remind everybody that the #1 cop killer in this country for the past 2 years is now COVID. Not the Black Lives Matter protest, it's just COVID. Just straight COVID, okay? Just murdering cops nonstop. Fucking just ripping through the police force, okay? So, you know, do with that information what you will.
it is possible that the suspect Kosminski was someone other than Aaron Kosminski. It's also possible that these inconsistencies were mere lapses in memory. After all, these events were recounted years or even decades after the fact, and McNaughton even confessed to writing solely from memory. Regardless of the suspect's true identity, Anderson was the only one who seemed convinced of his guilt. McNaughton ultimately favored a different suspect and stated that, quote, many homicidal maniacs were suspected, but no shadow of proof could be thrown on any one. Inspector Edmund Reed was of the same opinion. Now we have Sir Robert Anderson saying that Jack the Ripper was a Jew. That I challenge him to prove. I challenge anyone to prove that there was a tittle of evidence against man, woman, or child. So when Anderson wrote that there was, quote, no doubt whatever as to the identity of the criminal, he merely expressed his personal opinion. There was in fact ample doubt and no consensus amongst the police. But in recent years, Aaron Kosminski has been resurrected as a prime suspect due to a controversial DNA analysis. Okay, so back in 1888, Acting Sergeant Amos Simpson is said to have stolen a blood-stained shawl from the crime scene of Catherine Eddowes. This shawl was then passed down from one generation to the next before being submitted for DNA testing in 2011. DNA samples were extracted from the shawl and then compared against maternal descendants of Eddowes and Kosminski. In both cases, it was a match. If the subsequent news coverage is to be believed, the mystery has now been, quote, definitively solved. Aaron Kosminski was Jack the Ripper. But as you can imagine, it's never quite that simple. First of all, the provenance or chain of custody of the shawl is severely lacking. There is no evidence of a shawl being found at the crime scene, nor is there any evidence of Simpson ever being at the crime scene. Furthermore, a destitute woman like Eddowes is unlikely to have owned such an expensive item.
Wait, which one was the Kosminski guy? Oh, it's this guy, the fucking guy that wasn't even there? The barber guy who's like crazy, right? That's what they're saying. Yeah, they just they're crazy. They just were like, oh yeah, he's Jewish, he's Polish, there's a double bind, and then he's also at the insane asylum. Just blame it on that guy. That's all right. We've done it. We've done it. He's Jewish, he's Polish. He's at the insane asylum. Case closed.
Second of all, the type of DNA used to identify Eddowes and Kosminski was mitochondrial DNA, the powerhouse of the cell. This type of DNA is passed down through the female line and is not unique to any one individual. Thousands can share the same mitochondrial DNA, which means it can't be used to pinpoint a specific person. In the words of a geneticist, based on mitochondrial DNA, one can only exclude a suspect. So to say that the mystery has been definitively solved is widely inaccurate. There's still plenty of room for doubt. So, to recap, a suspect named Kosminski was identified by an unknown witness. This was enough to convince at least one senior officer of his guilt. That suspect may have been Aaron Kosminski, a man who was largely non-violent but once threatened his sister with a knife. Aaron
Dude, great police work, dude. They were like, he's Polish, he's Jewish, he threatened his sister with a knife. Put him in an insane asylum. Leather guy? Nah, he's good. He's good. Leather guy. That right there is a good fellow. Leather man. No, he's very good. Leather apron, yes. Fine fellow.
Neither be incriminated nor eliminated by the DNA evidence. He spent the rest of his life in psychiatric care and died in 1919 at the age of 53.
Did you see the post with you on the PCM Reddit? No, I don't go on the PCM Reddit because I've had sex in the past. Sometimes with your mom. Okay? The fact that I even know what the PCM Reddit means, that like I'm literally regrowing my virginity right now. Okay? Jesus Christ.
Kosminski was not the only suspect advanced by a
PCM is political compass memes, chat. It's like a fucking weirdo subreddit infested by Nazis who are like, I'm actually a phalangist third worldist, and this Hasan guy is such a fucking idiot, dude.
High-ranking officer. A completely different suspect who still falls into the same category is Francis Tumblety.
Pog! I'm soy facing over political compasses. Pog!
Two days before the murder of Mary Jane Kelly, an American physician named Francis Tumblety was arrested in London. As you can probably tell from this photograph, Tumblety was quite an eccentric character.
Tumblety! I mean, yeah, what the fuck? Actually, is that even eccentric? Hold up. How the fuck are we deciding that that's eccentric? The other fucking guy was also like... Isn't this what they just looked like back then? I'm confused. Like, this is just how they looked. Okay, they got big mustaches. Like, what's the deal? This is like the most average German man. He's American, dude? Okay, that's weird then. Never mind. It's probably him.
He was born in Ireland around 1833, but was raised in the United States. From an early age, Tumblety gained a reputation for being a medicaster or quack doctor. He engaged in all sorts of medically dubious practices.
Ooh, this one's great. This one's wonderful. Okay. So, of course, an American is, selling snake oil in the fucking UK, by the way. Am I surprised by this? No. No, I'm not. We've been fucking over the world with snake oil salesmen for ever, I guess. Perpetuity. Not many things have changed, boys. Here you have another herb doctor, an herb doctor, whatever the fuck you want to call it, selling fake cures.
Practices and advertised himself as the Indian herb doctor.
I wonder if he had ivermectin, brother.
He promised
Let me tell you something, brother. You know these 2015 Nobel Prize winner right here.
to cure anything from dyspepsia and scurvy to cancer and blindness using nothing but medicinal herbs. When he was not posing as a doctor,
bro, we're still fucking murdering sex workers. Nobody gives a fuck. Okay, cops are still really incompetent at solving murders. 40% go unsolved. Okay, and we still got American snake oil salesmen telling you that you can fucking cure blindness with this medication. Literally nothing changed, dude. We're still in 1888. What the fuck?
COVlD was busy running from the law. He was either accused or convicted for crimes like theft and assault, attempt to induce a miscarriage, and manslaughter of a patient. He was even implicated in the assassination of US President Abraham Lincoln, but was ultimately cleared of suspicion. Now, in the early 1860s, COVlD is alleged to have hosted a lavish dinner party in Washington. Only men were invited to this dinner, and COVlD had
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, boys' night. Let's go, dude. Classic incel fucking fake cures, boys only dinner.
supposedly expressed fierce hatred of women. Furthermore, he showcased a cabinet in his office in which he stored a vast collection of jars filled with anatomical specimens, some of which were said to contain the wombs of, quote, every class of woman.
Oh my fucking god, dude, arrest this man, bro. What are you guys doing? Yo, that's like literally go to jail. Like what do you want? What more do you fucking want, dude? That's jail time, right? Bro, they would literally throw you in jail if you were Jewish, but they wouldn't throw you in jail if you're an American who's like, why, yes, of course I love to collect the womb of every class of woman. Jail. What do you want?
In 1869, COVlD ventured across the Atlantic and visited England for the first time. By his own admission, he roamed the
Like, to be fair, I don't even care if he's not Jack the Ripper. I want him to go to jail, okay?
streets of London until he became familiar with every part of it. He advertised himself as the great American doctor and had a few skirmishes with the police. After a few more voyages between the old world and the new, COVlD found himself in London in the autumn of 1888. The purpose of his visit and whereabouts at the time of the murders are completely unknown. COVlD never stayed in one place for long and made frequent use of false names. There is a story of a mysterious lodger leaving behind a blood-stained shirt near the murder site of Elizabeth Stride. This supposedly happened on the night of the murder, and some believe that this lodger was Francis COVlD. But there is no firm evidence of that, and the entire incident is fraught with uncertainty.
No.
What we do...
Guess what? There's no uncertainty. You want to know why? Because that guy should go to jail regardless. Okay? No uncertainty here, boys. I see fucking jars full of wombs, I go jail. I'm a simple man, okay? Don't care, don't know how you got it, don't know how you collected all that shit. You're going to jail. You should. I don't know if I'm crazy for this one, but, you know, straight up, that's a massive vibe check failure. Massive vibe check failure. Not as big as a vibe check failure as missing the top of the hour ad break. I got so excited that I stumbled over my words. Because at the top of the hour, every hour, there's a 6-second ad break, obviously. And if you'd like to no longer see the ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do that for $4 because it's September. Or you can do it for free with a Twitch Prime. Or you can use an ad block or a VPN, but Twitch Prime is free. As long as you have an Amazon Prime, that is. You can connect to your Twitch account. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. Oh, thank you, George, with no last name.
You know is that TRYNNA was arrested in London on November the 7th. According to the press, as well as TRYNNA himself, he was arrested on suspicion of being Jack the Ripper. 2 days later, Mary Jane Kelly was found brutally murdered, and it's unclear whether TRYNNA was still in custody or had already been released on bail. Nevertheless, he was ultimately charged with 4 counts of gross indecency, which had nothing to do with the murders. But TRYNNA had no intention of standing trial. Instead, he made his way across the English Channel, boarded a steamship under a false name, and fled back to America. He was pursued by detectives and kept under surveillance, but his offenses were, quote, not extraditable.
Bro, what are they gonna do? Like, I feel like if you just escape back to America, bro, motherfuckers escape back to America right now. We welcome the fucking fake news people with open arms. We let Dr. Andrew, well, ex-Dr. Andrew Wakefield come and have a fat mansion in fucking Austin. You know what I mean? Back then, there was no shot. It's like, absolutely dastardly. The American has escaped. Yes, he's on the other side of the pond. There's absolutely no way to apprehend him now.
As such, TRYNNA remained in the United States and never returned to England. So to recap, Francis TRYNNA was a misogynistic medicaster who was in London at the time of the murders. He even showcased a collection of wombs, and the Ripper did indeed extract the womb from 2 of his victims. I mean, he sounds like the perfect suspect. Perhaps a bit too perfect. There is no doubt that TRYNNA was in London in 1888, but the claim that he was a misogynistic collector of human body parts is extremely dubious. It can be traced back to a single article from December of 1888 featuring an interview with a man named Charles Dunham. Dunham had a long history of spreading misinformation and has been described as a pathological liar, a forger, and a conman. He was even convicted of perjury. As such, there is every reason to believe that this story is a complete fabrication.
Okay,
Furthermore, TRYNNA was both older and taller than the man described by most witnesses. TRYNNA was said to be, quote, an enormous man who liked to dress in flamboyant and militaristic outfits. It's difficult to imagine a tall, pompous American sneaking around the streets of Whitechapel virtually undetected. On the other hand, it's unclear which, if any, of the witness accounts can be trusted. Then there's the matter of the rings. You may recall that 2 brass rings were stolen from the body of Annie Chapman. It's suspected that the rings were taken by the Ripper to be kept as trophies.
Maybe I pulled the trigger too soon, okay? Sometimes we just gotta fucking chill out about the things that we say when we point fingers at one another.
Now, upon his death in 1903, TRYNNA left behind a quite impressive estate. But among his many valuable possessions were a pair of inexpensive imitation rings. Could they have been the same rings taken from the body of Chapman? It's possible. It's also impossible to prove. Chief Inspector John Littlechild regarded TRYNNA as a, quote, very likely suspect. And it's not difficult to see why. If the many rumors about him are to be believed, TRYNNA had both opportunity and motive to commit the murders. But therein lies the problem. Much of what we know about TRYNNA is founded upon unsubstantiated rumors. TRYNNA himself was an attention-seeking charlatan with no qualms about lies and deception. With a suspect like that, one can never be certain where the lies end and the truth begins. To theorize about the identity of Jack the Ripper is to navigate a minefield of hearsay, sophistry, and contradictions. Entire encyclopedias have been dedicated to the compilation of suspects, and with every passing year, they seem to grow ever more expansive. Even though there are hundreds of potential suspects, only a dozen or so are worth more than a brief consideration. Some of the more sensational contenders include famous authors and artists, as well as high-ranking officers and members of the royal family. But these grand conspiracies and elaborate deceptions seem hopelessly
Okay. Can we? I'm not moving past this, dude. Bro, this dude literally got the fuck my shit up fan barber cut, dude. I mean, come on.
Conspiracies and elaborate deceptions seem hopelessly contrived against the sheer simplicity of a suspect like Charles Lechmere, an unassuming delivery man on his way to work. Personally, I remain unconvinced that Jack the Ripper has even been identified as a suspect. The few covered in this video are probable candidates, but it's still possible to make persuasive arguments against them. The same is true of all those left out by necessity. None of them can offer anything more than ambiguity and circumstance. With a suspect pool in the hundreds, that might seem improbable, but London was the largest city in the world, home to the largest port in the world. It was a city of millions, with a large population of poorly documented drifters. It's not difficult to imagine one lowly sailor, butcher, medic, soldier, barber, merchant, porter, clerk, blending into the slums of Whitechapel like a grain of sand.
All right, let's do it. It's time, boys. It's fucking time. The killer was among us the entire time, but guess what? Gaming is what it's time for. And the name of the game is Deathloop. Okay? I got the code yesterday, and I was supposed to play yesterday, but, you know, I didn't have time to play yesterday. But today is the day where gaming commences. You've all been waiting for this moment. NVIDIA, what the fuck? Okay, can someone give me the fucking latest version of the NVIDIA? And will I actually have to change the... Open GeForce Experience, nerd? I don't have it. I don't think I have it. Hold on. I think I deleted it. Because it's like bloatware, isn't it? Yeah, I don't have it. I deleted it. I just like download it raw. No, I think I... Hold on. Everybody chill out. All right, we're going to do a little bit of fucking... We're gonna do this. We're going to figure it out. No, the GPU driver I have the GPU driver, but I don't have the experience. Like the actual... Okay, I don't have the GeForce Experience, which is why it doesn't automatically notify when I need new driver releases. My product is what? What do I have, chat? I have a GeForce... Get the experience. You're not a GPU encoder. I have a 2080 Ti. I know I have a 2080 Ti. What's the latest one? Just link me the latest one, chat. Is this correct? Can't watch you play this game because I want to play it as well. I don't want to spoil it. Dude, every gamer watcher, I swear to God, like literally always like, dude, play the video game. As soon as I fucking turn on the video game, oh, sorry, can't watch you play this game because I want to play it myself. So, can't avoid the spoilers. And then they're like, why doesn't Hasan play video games? Like, I don't understand. Like, why doesn't he play video games? Maybe, motherfuckers, you guys leave. Like, literally always. Nonstop. Dude, play the game. Oh, fuck, dude. Oh, shit. Sorry. Gotta go. Like. I don't think you can install drivers while streaming, man. Also, you should really download GeForce Experience. Wait. Oh, shit. This is gonna F my stream. Why don't I play on the PlayStation 5? Because it's easier to stream on the PC. Yeah, I'm gonna need to restart my computer. It's over. We can't play tonight. I can't play tonight. It's not even a joke. Like, I literally have to... Wait, what? Failed network error? What? What the fuck does that mean, dude? Resume. I mean, I'll try. I'll try to update my fucking driver. But I doubt it. I doubt it's going to work. Just the graphics driver, no experience. No, I'm not going to watch. I want to continue. I want to marry Harry right now, okay? Oh my God. No, dude. It's the one chatter. Every chatter has their own agenda. It's like, literally just like, hey, this is a good opportunity. You should probably do this. All of your monitors are going to default to one screen when you update? Yeah, probably. Here, I'll just have this open then. It's installing the graphics driver. I don't have any chat logs or anything up. No. Hopefully it doesn't full F.